All right, welcome everybody. We find ourselves once again on the precipice of another disinformation session with Mango Mussolini, the Tangerine Terror, as many of us now know him. I appreciate you joining me. We are in the room at the White House press briefing room, and we will, this is scheduled for 15 minutes from now based on how sparsely populated the room is at this point in time. I can only imagine that it's going to be a little more than 15 minutes before this one gets started. But alas, we will see. I would expect a lot of disinformation today. Why do I say that? I say it because I'm sorry. I see people are just reacting to my hair. I just went for a run and it's really windy out and I haven't had a haircut for months because of what's going on. So anyway, I hope it's not too much of a distraction, but I really can't do too much about it right now. So we're going to have to just deal with it. Why do I expect a particularly high amount of disinformation today? Basically, because we are starting to see a little bit of a slowing of the curve. We are apparently approaching the peak, but it will only be the peak if we continue social distancing measures. And so I would expect that Donald Trump, as always, will simply go too far, the way he's gone too far with chloroquine, the way he's gone too far with everything, right? So that is why I would expect that. And we're going to get into some of those numbers momentarily. Welcome on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. Thank you for joining me once again. These streams really have been in the context of, I should lower my chair actually so that my full hair fits in. I mean, it's crazy for my hair to be out of the frame. There we go. It is, well, now I'm really low, but at least my hair is fitting. These streams have really been what has been saving us in terms of being able to sort of maintain relatively level revenues because YouTube's down 35%. We had 389 people cancel memberships last month. It's been crazy. So alas, here we are. Thanks to John E. for grabbing a beta membership on YouTube. Ben says, would you host live stream of Cuomo press conference one day to highlight the differences between those and Trump's? Absolutely. The reason I haven't is the scheduling is usually when we have interviews scheduled for my broadcast show or we are in the middle of filming or typically they're at 11 a.m. Eastern time and it's just not the best time for us, which is why I've not been able to do it so far. Carolina Altamirano says quarantine hair don't care. Yeah, I mean, I just this is what it is. You know, I can't do much about it. You should see when I'm running out in Boston, the entire thing as I step sort of shakes, and this happens where it comes down. And usually I'm running around, and it's almost like by the time I'm back, it's typically like this. And now that you can't touch your face when you're out in public, normally I would go like this every time, right? It starts falling and I go like that. I can't do that anymore when I'm running because it is, you can't touch your face when you're outdoors. So you just can't do it. So I just run around and it gets really, really bad. Okay, let me get into some of the data now. What do we see going on recently? And why is it I believe Donald Trump today is going to start talking about like we're almost at the end of this thing? Here's why. We are now up to 1.33 million known cases globally and just about 75,000 deaths. When we look at the countries with the most cases, of course, we are number one. America first, 362,000 cases. Spain, Italy, Germany, all in the six figures with a number of contenders quickly arriving nearby. Now, with the U.S. numbers, yesterday, let's actually go down to the charts. Yesterday, the U.S. saw a pretty significant reduction in new cases. And we saw a pretty significant, not pretty significant, we saw a reduction in new deaths. Now, already today, we are probably going to surpass that. Yesterday, we had 25,000 new cases. We already have more than that today. Yesterday, we had 1,165 new deaths. With 4 hours to go in the GMT day, we are already almost there. So yesterday was merely a blip. And my fear is that Donald Trump is going to pretend like we're almost there. It's starting to go away when we still have a lot of work to do, Meanwhile, actual good news, the IHME model has been updated with new data from over the weekend. I think they missed a day or two over the weekend of updating it daily. Currently, The peak is still expected on April 16th, but potentially with 3,130 deaths. Now, a lot of people are confused by this. How could that be the case when the margin now, or the confidence interval, goes all the way from, on that day, 1,100 to 7,500? Well, what's going on is there seems to be more uncertainty. This window now, potentially 7,500 deaths on the peak day. We're only 10 days from that. We just don't really know what the remaining curve is going to be. Is it going to be a leveling out very soon with around 12 to 1,400 deaths per day? Is it going to spike to the top of this confidence interval where we might have 8,000 people die in one day? We just don't know right now. And that's a lot of why we just need to keep doing what we're doing and seeing how low we can get this curve. One bit of good news, again, to the extent that we can believe it, as of yesterday, we were expecting 93,000 deaths in this first wave of the virus in the US. That has been revised to only 82,000. That's a reduction of almost 15% overnight with the latest data. All we can do is stay at home and do everything we can do individually, because every day the model is changing and we just don't know where this is ultimately going to shake out. Let me say a few thank yous to some people. I want to say thank you to Garrett Soom, who is new member number 1 today at joinpacman.com. Also want to say thanks to Margaret Deskin. Thanks, Margaret. You are new member number 2. And Brian Hourigan is new member number 3 today. Also, Miko Altonen is new member number 4 today at joinpacman.com. A few super chats continuing to come in. John Sebastian Pineros says, let me get back to our live video of the room as we await the press conference. People in the room now wearing masks. That is new. We had not seen that to date, but now people in the room wearing masks. Okay. John Sebastian Pinero says, David auditioning for Doc in Back to the Future. Absolutely. Gareth Thomas says, keep up the good work, David. You are a voice of sanity. Per Tiran says, you remind me of a race encountered in Star Trek Discovery. Can't remember the name. Please, people, help me. Yuika Gauss says, hi, why is my membership called Soy Boy? What is the reason behind it? We have taken back the power. Right-wingers like to insult left-wingers, calling them soy boys. It's a really dumb insult. We're just making fun of them by actually calling one of our memberships levels soy boy. Unknown Prodigy says Trump will be in super arrogant mode. The stock market is up 1,600. The virus may be reaching its peak, which all will validate his idiocy. I expect exactly that today, my friend. Let me say thank you over on Twitch to Plague of the Earth for gifting a subscription, Gilmore Goth for subscribing for 7 months in a row. Real Derek Burton has subscribed and says, is the whole hair thing just a distraction? It is. It's distracting me, that's for sure. Turkey, Bacon, and Cheese has just gifted 20 subscriptions on Twitch. Really appreciate that, as we are in the middle of a hype train over on Twitch. Okay. Oh, a second mask appears in the press briefing room. We may now see a lot of masks in the press briefing room. Probably not Trump, but we will soon see some masks there. Okay, let's look at a few other things here. Rudy Giuliani. Rudy Giuliani is back, and Rudy Giuliani seems to have half of a haircut, okay? I want you guys to look very closely at this video, and I guess I can't really zoom it because then it doesn't look right. Rudy Giuliani appears to have shaved the right side of his head. The left side of his head, he did not. It's very, very odd. But what I care more is not how Rudy Giuliani looks, but what Rudy Giuliani says. And Rudy Giuliani is now promoting hydroxychloroquine while half of his head is shaved. All right, let's take a look.
I think we should let doctors decide whether we should use hydrochloroquine, not the national bureaucracy. You know, this disease can kill you. And if hydrochloroquine has side effects, none of which are death, by the way.
That's not true.
Then those side effects I may want to endure because of the risk of death. And it may be different if I'm 25 or if I'm 75. Those choices should be given to doctors,
Right.
not to the bureaucrats in Washington who want to go through 3 blind tests. When we finish the 3 blind tests, you know, most of America could be gone. And they sit there in an ivory tower, whereas the guy sitting at Mount Sinai Hospital with the person walking in who's 65 years old with 104 temperature, and I sent one there just the other day. First thing they did before they even talked to him
He's sending people to hospitals. He's talking like he's a doctor now.
is give him hydroxychloroquine, and it's banned in New York.
So all these are lies. It's not banned in New York. Stockpiling it is banned in New York and Michigan. The rumor was New York and Michigan banned the drug. No, they banned the stockpiling of it so that it's actually available for clinical trials. Saying, you know, just about everything Rudy says is not true there, and he's really a danger. And somehow he only cut the hair on half of his head, which is really weird. Full coverage of that tomorrow. Okay, here is a non-scientist bomb thrower, Peter Navarro. This guy's an economist. Listen how he says he is qualified to recommend chloroquine to people. Take a look.
I have to ask a question. I let you go to 4 points at the beginning. I just wanted to follow. You're saying a second opinion here. What are your qualifications to weigh in on medicine more than Dr. Anthony Fauci? Why should we listen to you and not Dr. Fauci?
Well, let me suggest, John, that later in the day you have William Grace on, another famous doctor in the city of New York.
Remember, that wasn't the question.
He can talk eloquently about this. But, John, doctors disagree about things all the time. My qualifications in terms of looking at the science is that I'm a social scientist. I have a PhD, and I understand how to read statistical studies, whether it's in medicine, the law, economics.
Of course, the problem is we don't have proper randomized controlled trials with chloroquine yet. There are no actual real studies to read.
Or whatever.
I'm sorry, that doesn't qualify you to treat patients. You know it doesn't qualify you to treat patients.
John.
I have to ask a question.
So anyway, there's Peter Navarro's qualifications for recommending chloroquine. These guys are really something else, really, and it's dangerous. It's frankly dangerous. Let's see here. Dean Draper says David now looks like a rebel too. Charlie says Trump's hip swivel. It actually seems like his hips are locked as well, and he's swiveling from the ankles. That's very funny. I like that. That's a good one. So we will be doing bingo today. I will paste the link in the Twitch chat and in the YouTube chat, and moderators, you can keep the link for when people start asking. I encourage you to play along. I am going to generate my bingo card now, and there it is. So we will be playing bingo. I encourage you to play along. It makes these marginally more tolerable, tolerable. So I encourage you to play along with me once we get started. Numerous masks now in the room. I believe that this is a coordinated effort, and a good one, to do the safe thing, but also to make Trump look like even more of a tool for insisting that he just doesn't want to wear one for vanity's sake. Wiping down seats. We see a lot of things being taken very, very seriously now in the room, which I think is very, very important, and I like seeing that. Charlie says, oh, okay, we did that one already. These are super chats coming in, and I encourage anybody watching on YouTube to send a super chat. Zach Bushman says, hot take, mathematical illiteracy, especially statistics and probability, is one of the greatest and most insidious threats to modern democracies. I agree. And critical thinking. Jacob Graves says, loving the hair, David, loving the coverage even more. Thank you for what you do. Ryan Henry Dean says, Boris is getting a lot of positive wishes for recovery. How do you think people would react if Trump went into the ICU? I don't know the answer to that. Let me say thank you to a couple of other really great people. Trina Parham is new member number 5 today at joinpacman.com, and James Rowley is new member number 6 at joinpacman.com. I'm only going to mention this once today. I'm really paring down how often I mention membership. This program mostly is funded by people who get a membership on my website. Okay. Now, a lot of people are tightening the belt because things are tough with the virus. In March, very sadly, we lost 389 members. We've never had 389 members cancel. It's only April 6th, and several dozen more have canceled. And these are people who are writing to me and they're saying, David, it's not that I don't like the show, but we're having to tighten the belt. Right? And I completely understand that. So if you are in the camp of someone that can afford a couple bucks a month, consider grabbing a membership at joinpacman.com. Set it and forget it is the way I say it. The coupon code up there, 2020 now, will save you 66%. That makes a monthly membership $2 a month. If you pay for the year, which I recommend, it's only $1.80 a month. If you can't afford it, I'm still here. We're doing the streams. These are for everybody. But if you are in a position to grab a membership, we really do appreciate it because YouTube revenue's down 35%. Again, we lost 389 members last month. So this is sort of what we're doing instead and encouraging folks to sign up. Don't feel obligated to use that discount code. A lot of people are paying full price. A lot of people are not. Either way, we appreciate it very, very strongly. And joinpacman.com is the place to sign up. Now, I also, as always, would encourage you, if you're watching on Twitch, make sure you're following my Twitch channel. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. All of this stuff helps. Growing the audience helps. We've started the streams also on Twitter and on Facebook. We're doing multi-platform. We're doing everything we can, essentially. And everybody's working from home on our staff. We found out today, actually, that someone caught the virus at our office building. Of course, we haven't been there for 2 weeks, which, again, it costs money to decentralize, and it was completely worth it because it's keeping everybody safe. We haven't had to do any layoffs. We haven't had to do hours reductions or any of that stuff. So in any case, the message is thank you to everybody who's been supporting our work. Okay, a couple of other things I wanted to go over. We played this one already. This is a funny thing, and it's a little bit cringy. Many of you know that Joe Biden's wife is Dr. Jill Biden, but she's not a medical doctor. She's a teacher. And Whoopi Goldberg here comically suggests that Jill Biden should be the Surgeon General, which it's pretty cringy. I'm not going to lie. Let's take a look at it.
And Dr. Jill becomes a Surgeon General. His wife.
Yeah,
Joe Biden's wife, because he would never do it, but she's a hell of a doctor. She's an amazing doctor.
I thought she was a doctor and PhD. Yeah, I
could be wrong. I thought she was.
Yeah, I think she's a teacher, but.
So anyway, she's a hell of a doctor. Really? What is her specialty exactly? Turns out her specialty is education. So that's not great. That's not great. We don't, obviously Donald Trump would appoint a non-doctor to be Surgeon General. He appoints unqualified people to positions all the time, but that wasn't the best. So not her best moment. And then lastly, here is lunatic right-wing Judge Jeanine bringing on who? A religious nut to tell us the virus is because people have sinned. I don't know who's loonier. Take a look at this.
Given the number of Americans, the thousands who've already died, you must get questions like, why would God allow this kind of thing to happen?
Good question.
Well, I don't think it's God planned for this to happen. It's because of the sin that's in the world, Judge. Man has turned his back on
By
God.
The way, the people who call her judge without being satirical, it's like, get the fuck out of here.
We have sinned against him, and we need to ask for God's forgiveness. And that's what Easter's all about. It's about God so loving the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but should have everlasting life. Jesus Christ came to save sinners. He didn't come to condemn the world, but to save the world. And if we put our faith and trust in him, he'll forgive our sins, and he'll heal our hearts, and he'll change the course of our lives. And this pandemic, this is a result of a fallen world, a world that has turned its back on God. And so I would encourage people to pray and just let's ask God for help.
Yep.
Well, Franklin Graham, I don't think there's any question, but this is giving people a tremendous opportunity to be somewhat introspective.
Yes, exactly. So that's what we call mental illness, and it's very, very bad, very serious. Again, if you were yelling, there's people who go onto the subway platform and yell that same stuff out. They don't have cameras in front of them, and they're not wearing suits. And we say you should be institutionalized, but apparently it's okay to do when you are Franklin Graham and et cetera, et cetera. Okay, Let's see here. I want to do a few other super chats. Alexander Ide says, when this global nightmare is finally over, please don't say that people will stop with things like shaking hands and hugging and being social in bigger groups. That would be depressive. Yeah, I don't think that that's right. You know, Trump's a germaphobe. He says maybe we'll never get back to holding hands or, you know, whatever, holding hands, shaking hands. But I think that we will. It's just a matter of when. Donna Williams says, appreciate your work. Appreciate your support, Donna. Thank you. Madison Neumes says, just joined. Has anyone made a troll doll reference about David's hair yet? Either way, thanks for the continued coverage. No, nobody's mentioned that yet. Martin Van Gorp says, great job, David. Super chat from Belgium. Love Belgium. Hope you guys are staying safe there. Also, Martin Van Gorp says, here is money for a haircut. No, see, I've not missed a haircut because of a financial. Now that I'm looking at it full screen, I look like a lunatic. I just have not been, you know, you can't go and get a haircut anywhere right now. So I'm being safe. That's all. That's all that's going on. If you're just joining us on YouTube, please make sure to smash that like button and completely destroy that subscribe button. It really helps us. Somehow we've had 12,000 people show up to our stream and only 600 have hit like, which is the people on Twitch can't believe that low ratio. Twitch is absolutely furious with YouTube right now because of that. If you are just joining us, we will be playing Trump Briefing Bingo. Yesterday we missed China. Hopefully we'll get that today. We didn't get You Should Be Ashamed yesterday. I'm hoping we get that. And Trump was not sweating yesterday, so maybe we will get Sweats Visibly. I have pasted the link to the bingo card a bunch of times in the Twitch and YouTube chat. And moderators, please also, when people ask about it, go ahead and paste it for people. The invisible scourge I am hoping for. And the bingo link has been pasted in the chat many times, many times. So keep an eye out for it there. Very important stuff. Okay, let's see here. Our website is actually getting hammered right now by people trying to get memberships. I believe it is holding up, although it is getting a little borderline. But so far, we're releasing as much power as we can. And let's see if I can thank a few people here. Where did I leave off? Okay, Christopher Pinetta is new member number 7 at joinpacman.com. Colin Webb is new member number 8. Gage Robbins is new member number 9. Tom Bicknell is new member number 10. Carol Sundin is new member number 11. Christian Gaffield is new member number 12. I'm feeling good about the name pronunciations today. Mary Rafferty is new member number 13 today. Frank Witter is new member number 14. Corey Lancelota is new member number 15. Christian Boy is new member number 16. Martin Van Gorp is new member number 17. Thank you. Erica Townsley, number 18 today. Stephen Jackson is new member number 19 today. Peter Headland is new member number 20. Thanks, Peter. Michelle Compubert Weisblatt Dane, that's a mouthful, is new member number 21 today. Zev Deans is new member number 22. Philip Dickinson is new member number 23. Boris Sirovic is number 24. Frank Germond is new member number 25. So as I like to say, let's go for 50. Whoa, things just got very crazy there. Let's go for 50. Everything going wrong here. Okay, let's look at a few other super chats from folks coming in. Ryan Nowicki, Ryan Nowicki, where did that go? Ryan says, David, please put your hair down. Every inch of social distancing is important. Keep up the streams. By the way, are you still getting DMCA slammed on streams? No, recently we have not been getting copyright strikes on streams, fortunately. I don't know what changed. Stephanie Wagoner says, I think your hair represents the insanity of Trump. He is making us all crazy with his narcissism and lies. Love all that you are doing. Thanks, Stephanie. I appreciate your support. Paul Newman has sent a super chat. Fred Power says Johnson in intensive care. Dominic Raab takes over. Yeah, that's a big story. That is a huge story. And we'll probably discuss it in more detail tomorrow. When it comes to, someone's medical condition, I don't want to speculate, or I want to make sure I'm only reporting things that we know for sure. Waffles Giraffle says most annoying sibling or cousin in Ozark 3. Siblings or cousins? Maybe I haven't gotten to that part yet. I mean, I know, there's Wendy Bird's brother is a character, but I don't know what other people there are really to think about. Great show, though. Fantastic program. Season 3 of Ozark. Brian Holiday says the right weaponizing religion is not talked about often enough. Also, Christianity at its core seems to not agree with right-wing politics. In many ways, it doesn't, but it doesn't matter. It's still in the United States is intertwined. Erica Townsley says, did you catch John Oliver's episode about One American News? I missed it. I did not see that. Thanks to Riette for the super chat. David Rowe says, do you believe the numbers from China? I don't know. I'm unsure. I'm very, very unsure about the China numbers for reasons I've talked about before and we'll talk about again. Danny Thompson says hydroxychloroquine's side effect is hair loss. With your hair right now, you might want to look into it. Minnesota has the lowest cases per million in the United States. Yeah, I'm just not sure if I am starting to get my hairline receding a little bit in the corners there. But then when I look at old pictures, I think it's been like that forever. I don't know. George Bush says your hair looks perfect today. Sweetie says, love the hair as well as the show. It's insane the number of super chats related to my hair. It really is. Let me say thanks over on Twitch. The beautiful, beautiful people on Twitch want to say thank you to Pappy McPappers for subscribing. The Calavic has subscribed. Mongo Smash has subscribed. Says, if you need some teepee and are on the North Shore, I'll leave some outside for you. Oaklevon Polkelstein has subscribed with Prime. Zephin has subscribed with Prime. Yovivo has subscribed with Prime. And so has Taz602. Thanks very much. Very much appreciate the support from folks over on Twitch. And we've got a lot of exciting things coming up soon on Twitch. If you're joining us on YouTube, remember you can get your message up on the screen in the lower left there via Super Chat. Paul Colleton and Ashton Graves have grabbed YouTube subscriptions. Paul Newman says, I hope this crisis will lead us on the right way. It is an aha moment for me. What we see now, what's wrong with our world. Let's make the world a better place. A beautiful message. Per Tiran says, do you think Wormtongue, Stephen Miller, is behind some of the loony speech? Yeah, I assume Stephen Miller is involved in some of the writing and putting together of Donald Trump's coronavirus speeches for sure. Betty Swallocks has grabbed a YouTube membership. Gaylord Winchester says, thank you for making these, quote, press conferences tolerable. Daniel Krieger says, I'll give you $20 to make your hair emo tomorrow. I don't know what that means. I don't know what emo hair is. Ashton Graves asks, can we buy memberships for other people? You can. The only way to do it right now is to put in their name and email address, but you pay for it. That's really the only way. We are going to work on an improved system for that at some point in time. Okay, let me say thanks to a few other people. Emily French is new member number 26 today. Thank you, Emily. Hal Brightcloud is new member number 27. Thank you, Hal. Brendan Beckett is new member number 28 at joinpacman.com. Rich Lennertz is new member number 29 today. Brett Merkin is new member number 30 at joinpacman.com. Black Ops FX is new member number 31. Thanks, Black Ops. Matt Knights is new member number 32 today. Also want to say thanks to Zachary Prakowski, who is new member number 33. And George Cervantes is new member number 34 at joinpacman.com. And I believe the website hasn't crashed during any of this. It's gone to yellow. It's gone from green to yellow, but it doesn't look like it's gone to red. And it's back to green now, which is exciting. Very, very exciting. Okay, other super chats. Amin El Rifai says, do you like Pac-Man? I presume you mean the video game. It's okay. Since growing up, everybody would always say, oh, did your dad invent the game? So I always kind of got annoyed, and I never really got into the game. Although I do think I have a predisposition to be good at the game. Let me mention that. But I never got that good. Alan says, how difficult is it covering these conferences every day and listening to them lie daily? I feel like I've lost hope and common sense. Well, just look at my hair and beard to get a sense of how difficult it is. I mean, this is my physical appearance. Clearly something about these is not good, right? I think we can all agree with that. Chris Bradley has sent a pound. MK Crisp says, despite being a British lefty, I wish Boris Johnson all the best and a fast recovery, but will people back home actually comply with the rules now? 3,000 people were out sunbathing in a London park on Saturday. Yeah, people say, don't you wish that the people who are not heeding the social distancing guidelines, don't you wish that they get sick? No, I don't. What I do wish is that only the people ignoring the rules were at risk. If you came to me and you said, listen, here's the thing about the virus. If you ignore the rules, you will get sick, but nobody else will. I would actually say, you know what, these people are stupid, but they're only putting themselves at risk. Ultimately, it is their decision. Unfortunately, they're putting everybody at risk. And aside from not wanting anybody to get sick and die, the reality is it's not just the people ignoring the rules that are at risk. Everybody is, and that's why it's so toxic. It's weaponized, really. Let me say thank you to Massive Oats for grabbing a Twitch Prime subscription, as well as Mr. Gecko. Mr. Gecko has subscribed with Prime. JHWH says, your disheveled hair merely reflects our collective emotional state after numerous Trump briefings. Your suffering helps us in these trying times. Very well said, and poetically so. Beaufort says, I think we all have a case of the COVID coiffure right now. Yes. Brent Hess says, losing my job at the end of the week, so have some of my paycheck. Oh, geez. Again, I don't want anybody's last dollars, okay? All the folks that are signing up and people who have generously grabbed memberships at joinpacman.com, I want to be really clear. We're all in this thing together. If you can afford to support our program, of course, we welcome it with open arms. I don't want anybody's last $2 or $5. We're all in this together. We're all trying to get to the other side of this thing, for lack of a better term. Make It Simple says, oops, sorry. Where'd that go? When a bunch of super chats come in, it scrolls up. Make It Simple says, was David sent to the electric chair? I just got here. What happened? Will C137 says, how do you think the world would react if a head of state died from coronavirus? I hate to say it, but it depends on the world leader. It depends on the world leader. Love Inspired says, is there a prize for bingo or just for fun? It's just something to make these a little more tolerable. We have sent the link out in Twitch chat and YouTube chat. I invite you to play Trump Briefing Bingo. You can, using the link in the chat, you can randomize a bingo board. Tremendous is the center square. It's sort of the free square. That's the center square on everybody's boards, but you can generate your own board. Bingo is too easy, so I'm actually going for a full board. And, it's anyone's guess whether I'll be able to do that. Tom Bicknell says, it's pronounced Bicknall, but good effort. Okay, Bicknall. Bicknall. Interesting. Steve Zaitz says, he shoots, he scourge. Love it. Junis Cull says, have been lurking for ages, have a bit to give at the moment. Stay safe. Much love from Estonia. Oh, I love Estonia. I was there last, when was I there? I guess it's been about a year, last April. Loved Estonia. Beautiful place. Tallinn is fantastic. The people are so nice. The food is great. It was just a great place. Absolutely loved it. Let me say a few other thank yous to people who have signed up on my website. Paul Laino, or Lano, is new member number 35 today. Damon Hammond is new member number 36. Okay, I sounded stupid when I said Damon. Obviously, that's Damon. Dominic Rossi is new member number 37 today. Ashton Graves is new member number 38. Helen Gresser is new member number 39. And R. Lee Jacinto is new member number 40 at joinpacman.com. Very much appreciated. Okay, yeah, Damon was stupid. I get it, guys. I get it. That was not my best work. Not my best work. Thanks to Ashley Pearson for the super chat. Thanks to Good Job Buddy for grabbing a YouTube membership. Kowalski from Nebraska says, how long until you've got a man bun? This is nowhere close to being able to turn into a man bun. I know it looks long, but it's really not that long. It would be probably, I don't know. I think it would probably be another 2 months before I could even come close to getting some kind of a man bun together. Timothy says, why are you not getting rebuttals from our real leaders in the Democratic community live on television after these disastrous live-filled briefings? Well, I don't know when those are scheduled for, and we're doing our broadcast show and these, and there's only so many hours in the day is essentially the answer. Patrick Talismanic says, what do you say to people who still think this is a partisan attack? I really, at this point, don't talk to those people. I mean, if you still think that the virus is fake or whatever, I have no business speaking to you, and I have no interest in speaking to you. Stiff Mofed Presents says, love the hair, love the show. I heard you say the F word for the first time just now, so here's $10. Oh, thank you. Chamberlain has grabbed a Soy Boy subscription. Ryan Lyon says, who do you think will become the next chancellor of Germany in 2021? I don't know. I don't know enough about German politics to know who are even likely participants. Mustaki says, at what point do Birx and Fauci lose credibility for their proximity and because they run interference for Trump and Pence? So for me, Birx has already lost 90% of her credibility. And, you know, Fauci clearly has calculated that he's better off being there than not, even if he is limited in what he is allowed to say. Now, on that note, this is from yesterday. Let me pull this up. Yesterday, Donald Trump did not allow Dr. Fauci to answer a question about chloroquine. And we now know that there was a huge fight in the Situation Room about chloroquine on Saturday. So check this out. This is from yesterday. Fauci not allowed to answer the question.
You also weigh in on this issue of hydroxychloroquine. What do you think about this, and what is the medical evidence?
That question?
Yeah. Well,
Maybe 15,
doctor.
15 times. You don't have to ask.
He's your medical expert, correct?
He's answered that question 15 times.
Dr. Fauci, why are you not?
So there it is. Trump not allowing Dr. Fauci to answer that question. We later found out that on Saturday in the Situation Room during the coronavirus task force meeting, there was a blow up about chloroquine where Dr. Fauci and this bomb throwing economist, Peter Navarro, were arguing about it. Only one of the two, as you might suspect, is a medical doctor. And clearly that is related to Donald Trump yesterday, simply not allowing Dr. Fauci to answer the question. And very, very sad. Very, very, very sad. Welcome if you are watching on Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube. We are now about 23 minutes behind today's scheduled White House press conference, expected to start at 5 p.m. Eastern. We are now nearly a half hour past that. If you're joining me on YouTube, please do me the favor of hitting like and subscribe. Like and subscribe is really important. As I also mentioned, we did take a big hit in March on our YouTube, our website memberships. 389 people canceled website memberships in March because of what's going on. So we are asking, and I am asking, if for you a couple bucks a month is not a stretch, consider grabbing a membership at joinpacman.com. 40 people have done so far during the stream. And it is really very much appreciated. And we've actually been relying on the website memberships because everything is just down. You know, this economy was not meant to be closed, but it must be. That's the reality. And we're gonna do what we can to get through it. Let's see here. Jacob Ratner says, do you agree with consider Trump to be a fascist? Trump is not a fascist, but he is authoritarian in many of his instincts. And we have seen the United States slide towards authoritarianism, but it would be incorrect to say that Trump is a fascist. Good job, buddy, says, I just subscribed. You are a very attractive. And if I wasn't married to such an amazing man, I would find you. LOL, love the show. All right, well, there you go. I exclusively date women, so I don't know from the name Good Job, buddy, who we're dealing with here, but that is fascinating. Keith M. says, David's blow dryer goes burr. Zachary Monroe says, how do you think history will remember Trump? I have a clip up on my YouTube channel about that. Check it out. I think that that's a complex answer, much affected by the reality of right-wing media, Twitter, social media, and the echo chamber that has been created. That will play a big role in how Trump is ultimately remembered. Let me say thank you to Laurent Belanger, who is new member number 41 today. Terry Holden is new member number 42. Jordan Haddock is new member number 43. Jeffrey Hovey is new member number 44. Jim Chapman is new member number 45. And Olivier Carayon is new member number 46. Why is my phone blowing up with voicemails and all sorts of crazy things? Wow. It is. You should see what's happening on my phone right now. It's absolutely insane. Someone is going to pay the price for it. That I can assure you. It looks like we're getting closer to the start of today's White House coronavirus press briefing, scheduled for nearly a half hour ago. Other super chats coming in. Jackie Round has subscribed at the soy boy level on YouTube. Charlie says, I'm playing a side bingo card with short period of time, and you know it, and I know it, and we'll see what happens. Yeah, those are good additions to the bingo card. If you are just joining us, this is not to minimize the seriousness of coronavirus. It's just out of a need to try not to be crying the entire press briefing. We do have a bingo card. We can share the link again in Twitch chat and YouTube chat. I can see the moderators sending that link. You can generate your own bingo card, which will randomize the locations of all squares other than Tremendous, which is like our free square. And we will be playing along when this ultimately does start, whenever that might be. And we don't know, unfortunately, when that's going to be. Thanks to Zev Deans for the super chat and Lucy Slayla, as well as Willy Wonka. Shapiro's Dead Cat. Oh, whoops. Hold on a second. Where did that go? Where did Shapiro? Oh, there it is. Shapiro's Dead Cat says, better to have unkempt hair than COVID-19. Absolutely. I will gladly wait to get a haircut as long as I need to if I can stay safe from the virus. Very much agree. Neder Hernandez has grabbed a subscription. Tove Iron Becker has grabbed a subscription. Tragic Magic says, David, you almost pass for Trump's hair double. John Ahern has subscribed. Alan Q says, Grande David, tendrían que haber programas como el tuyo en castellano. La televisión hispana es tan mala, pero bueno, por eso no escucho nada en español algún día. Un abrazo de un fan peruano. Okay, so let me translate. It says, there should be programs like yours in Spanish. Spanish TV is not good, but that is why I don't listen to anything in Spanish. Someday, a hug from a Peruvian fan. Always love our fans from Peru. Thank you. Ashton Graves says, have you read Primacy of Politics by Sherry Berman? I have not. Graph Zero says, not only is you Super Saiyan hair, Super Saiyan hair, a sign of the times, I just went to Bush's Chicken here in Austin, and they gave me a roll of toilet paper with my order. That is interesting. Andre Sutherland says, hope you and your family are safe. The UN gave props to the government here in Costa Rica, thanks to how they have handled the virus. Something to be celebrated. Very much so. Saiyan is, I think, my favorite pronunciation of it. Graph Zero says, your hair they gave. Yes, I got it. Thank you to Anna Burgos for getting a YouTube membership. We don't do any YouTube drama nonsense. So unfortunately, I'm not going to read Anthony Fauci's comment, who is obviously the user formerly known as Alex Jones. So we're not stupid here. Stephen Jackson says, David, usually my hair looks like yours after watching a Trump coronavirus press conference. Brian Holiday says, why does Epoch Times run ads with you? They're running ads on news and politics in general. They're not deliberately running ads on our channel. Volker Demon says, I can't believe what's going on in the US. This huge amount of Trump propaganda is unreal, and it seems to work. Greetings from Germany. Greetings to you as well. Jamin Lee says, what happens to your show after, if and hopefully Trump fails to get elected? Are you going for pro-Democrat or neutral? Well, no. I mean, listen, if Joe Biden becomes president, we celebrate that someone not as bad as Trump won, and then we push Joe Biden to pass progressive policy. And if Joe Biden is too centrist, which he likely will be, we criticize him from a progressive perspective. That's what we do. No change in terms of advocating for progressive policy. Let me say a few other thank yous. Jeffrey Goro is new member number 47 today at joinpacman.com. Olivia R is new member number 48 at joinpacman.com. Chris Hunter is new member number 49 at joinpacman.com. And Mary Gates is new member number 50. Can you imagine? Let's go for 75. Number 51 is Luke Osteen. Luke Osteen is new member number 51 today. And Janelle Jensen. Hey, Janelle. Janelle is new member number 52. Oh, very, very important. Okay. People asked, I believe it was yesterday, about what is happening with the David Pakman Show apparel. Because of COVID-19, our primary apparel manufacturer had to fully shut down production of data mail and other t-shirts. We have found a new producer, and they have seamlessly picked up all production of data mail and other gear. So these are back in business, and we have a few other colors available now. Banana cream was like the really popular color. This new vendor doesn't have banana cream, but they have this color called sand. I guess this is called sand. No, that's not sand. Which one is this? Natural. Okay. So if you liked banana cream, you have to go with natural. But yeah, production has restarted of data mail t-shirts. And we've been sending them all over the world. Turquoise, heather gray, a very popular color. We now have light gray. Some people felt that heather gray was a little too dark. We now have light gray, and we also have sand. So many, many options if you want the data mail t-shirt. We are back in production. Very exciting stuff. Thank you. Okay, Cesar Hurtado says, can you say Viva la Raza and FTP, you look great. Now, I don't want to do stuff that I think could be turned into propaganda in some way. So I'm going to try to keep that to a minimum. Let's see here. Bull Shot in Butt has grabbed a YouTube subscription. Ismael Serrano says, plans on going on Rogan's podcast. What do you think of his view of Biden's candidacy? Yeah, so listen, I was hoping to make an announcement this week about a Rogan thing. Because of the virus, there's a large question mark around it. So I'm going to have to delay the announcement, but hopefully news soon about that. And for sure, I would talk to Rogan about his "I would vote for Trump over Biden" comment, which I vehemently disagree with. And I look forward to being able to speak to Joe Rogan about that soon. Keep It Real Cam says, last conspiracy I heard was this was the only way China could get back at us without being obvious. Yeah, you've got to, I've seen Brains on conspiracy, and it's bad. It's very, very bad. Actually, speaking of which, I do have one other clip I want to show you as we wait here. Let me see where this is. Where did that go? Here it is. Okay. I've never been covered in the blood of Jesus. Maybe you have. Maybe somebody can explain to me what this means.
Driving out of this Ohio parking lot is a woman who just attended a church service with dozens of other people, including children.
Can I ask you about your decision to go to church, to be inside that building?
I wouldn't be anywhere else.
Aren't you concerned you could infect other people if you get sick inside?
No.
People who don't go to this
No.
church.
There's a certain look that unhinged Trumpists have in their eyes. And I've never been able to sort of describe it correctly. And this woman has it. There's a certain look when they're asked a question where there's a certain sort of like a disdain for the media, a disdain for the left, a disdain for non-believers. Maybe it is a cult look. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly, but this woman has that look. Anyway, here's the rest of the video.
I'm covered in Jesus' blood.
Let me go
I'm
back.
covered in-
That's a
It's a
key
woman
phrase.
who just attended a church service with dozens of other people, including children.
Can I ask you about your decision to go to church, to be inside that building?
I wouldn't be anywhere else.
Aren't you concerned you could infect other people if you get sick inside?
No.
People who don't go to this
No.
church.
I'm covered in Jesus' blood. I'm covered in Jesus'
But what
blood.
about other people who don't go to this church who you might encounter?
All of these people go to this church.
No, but you're going to be in places where other people
I go to the
are.
grocery store every day. I'm in Walmart,
What?
Home Depot, all of those
But you
people.
could get them sick from what happens in
They
the
could
church.
get me sick, but they're not because I'm covered in his blood. Thank you very much.
And of course, ignoring the idea of her getting someone else sick. So that's one of the most severe cases of weaponized ignorance, arrogance, and religious delusions that I've maybe ever seen. And you know, this stuff is not fun and games, kids, right? People are dying here. It's very, very bad. And that's what we're dealing with. That's what we're dealing with. And it is tragic. It is very, very tragic. If you're joining me on YouTube, welcome. We are at this point 36 minutes past when this press conference was scheduled to begin. If you are watching on YouTube, please do hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. It costs nothing, and it really helps our streams grow. And 6,300 folks currently watching over on YouTube, about 1,000 on Twitch, which we love, about 800 on Facebook, and I don't know how many are watching on Twitter. It's usually like 100. It's not the best over on Twitter, but we're building. We're just building the audience. It's okay. All right, other super chats coming in. Jason Flory has grabbed a Soy Boy membership. Christian Birdiel says, have you considered make with other YouTubers a whole day channel? We have not considered that. We have not considered that. Michelle Weisblatt Dane says Trump and Giuliani own stock in the chloroquine. We'll have a report about that tomorrow. Richard Minturn has grabbed a subscription. Helen Alderson says, I haven't worked since March 13, hoping to be able to work again right here in San Francisco when all is said and done. I hope you are able to get back to work as well, Helen. Paul Newman, where'd that go? Paul Newman says, I will shower you with money as long as you spread the word that Donald J. Trump is a lunatic. Americans are good people and they deserve competent leaders. We certainly do. We certainly do. Brett Harkness says, David, would you go on the Radstiller? Seems it's a Twitch dating show if you're not aware. Well, I was on Raj Royale and I won, actually. So please check that appearance out. I defeated a gentleman who is known publicly as Airsoft Fatty. I defeated Airsoft Fatty. Looks like we're getting close now, so get your bingo cards ready. Link is in the Twitch and YouTube chat. Get your own bingo card ready, as it looks like we are getting close. I am going for a full board today. I don't care about bingo or double bingo. I want a full board today. Let me say thank you to a few other website members. Very exciting. David Kjorvin is new member number 53 today. Rachel Fisher is new member 54 at joinpacman.com. Thomas McCrory is new member number 55 at joinpacman.com. And I think that's it. Yeah, I got everybody there. Very good. Okay, thank you so much. Let's continue with super chats, although it looks like we're getting close here. Havard Oustbow has signed up on YouTube. Guy Walker has as well. Jamal Swift says, hey, DP, your thoughts on the DOJ seeking emergency powers to detain people indefinitely without trial during emergencies? Should we be scared? Will it happen? We should be scared. I don't know if it'll happen. And I have a whole clip on it on my YouTube channel. Ajamu Omawale says, look up Dragon Balls. I'm kidding. Dragon Ball Z. I don't care about Dragon Ball Z. That's the reality. Let's see. We've got people coming out. They are placing the 30 days to stop the spread card on the thing there. Here is Dr. Birx and Admiral Giroir and Dr. Anthony Fauci, who is apparently not going to stand on the stage. Nobody wearing a mask. And now, is the presidential seal normally on here when Trump will speak? I guess not. I guess they don't put it on in this room. Otherwise, that would be a signal Trump's not coming out at all. Different scarf, sort of a more actually, this is almost like a Girl Scout outfit, right? Like the brown dress with the blue scarf. Dr. Birx adopting a bit of a different look today. And maybe we will see her wrap the scarf around her face during today's press briefing. James Buccino says, David, do you smoke recreational marijuana? No, I don't. And smoking anything is bad for your lungs. You don't want to be smoking anything. S's theme for S has grabbed a Soy Boy subscription. Tagar Ian says, what's your favorite color? Blue. Wolfpack says, get a haircut, you hippie. Sue Smithson and Uwe G have grabbed YouTube subscriptions. Matt Bond says Captain Crozier tests positive for coronavirus 19. Boris Johnson in the ICU. Two big stories. Big stories. Let me say thank you to Neptune99 for the Twitch subscription. Ballin GMA has subscribed with Prime. Chad Rath has subscribed with Prime. Ted Lynn has subscribed with Prime as well. Thank you so much for that support. Here is the president as well as Mike Pence.
Very much. This week, America continues our aggressive effort to defeat the virus. As we enter a crucial and difficult phase of the battle, we continue to send our prayers to the people of New York and New Jersey and to our whole country. But right now, New York and New Jersey are very hot zones, and we're with them, we're with everybody. Your struggle is our struggle, and we will beat this virus. We will beat it together. I also want to send best wishes to a very good friend of mine and a friend to our nation, Prime Minister Boris Johnson. We're very saddened to hear that he was taken into intensive care this afternoon, a little while ago. And Americans are all praying for his recovery. He's been a really good friend. He's been really something very special, strong, resolute, doesn't quit, doesn't give up. We have made tremendous progress on therapeutics. I had a fantastic call today, which I'll be talking about a little bit later. And I've asked two of the leading companies, these are brilliant companies, Ebola, AIDS, others, they've come with the solutions and just have done incredible jobs. And I've asked them to contact London immediately. They have offices in London, the major companies, but more than major, more than size, they're genius. And I had a talk with 4 of them today, and they speak a language that most people don't even understand.
English?
But I understand something, that they've really advanced therapeutics and therapeutically, and they have arrived in London already. Their London office has whatever they need, and we'll see if we can be of help. We've contacted all of Boris's doctors, and
is Trump suggesting he's recommending medications for Boris Johnson?
Are ready to go. But when you get brought into intensive care, that gets very, very serious with this particular disease. So the 2 companies are there, and with what they are talking about, and it's rather complex and has had really incredible results. We're working with the FDA and everybody else, but we are working with London with respect to Boris Johnson. Across the country, we're attacking the enemy on all fronts, including medical, scientific, social,
that's war
logistical,
language,
and economic. We're pressing into action the full power of American government and American enterprise, and our military has been incredible. We've just sent 3,000 public health personnel. They're now deployed in the New York area, and they'll be over at the Javits Center, over at the Great Ship. And as you probably have heard, and I was informed that Governor Cuomo has already told you and announced, he called me up a little while ago and he asked whether or not it would be possible to use the ship with respect to fighting the virus. And we hadn't had that in mind at all, but we're going to let him do it. And we're also going to let New Jersey, Governor Murphy, we spoke with him a little while ago, and New Jersey is going to use it also because New Jersey is a hot spot. So Governor Murphy and Governor Cuomo are going to be using the ship, New York, New Jersey, and it's a big ship. And it's now COVID. It's set for COVID, and we are going to, hopefully, that will be very helpful to both states. The Javits Center, which is 2,900 beds, just built by our military, also is going to be manned now by the military, and they should be in place tomorrow. And they'll start sending quite a few people over to the Javits Center. It's convenient. It's right in the middle of everything. So that'll be something great. And we appreciated Governor Cuomo's really nice statements, and likewise Governor Murphy. We have worked very well with both of them, and with, frankly, all of the governors. Vice President Pence had a call this morning with them that lasted for close to 2 hours. And I understand there wasn't a negative person on the call. 50 governors, or just about 50 governors. I think they were all on, from what I understood. And they were very positive about everything their federal government has been doing for them. And you'll hear what that is, and it's rather amazing, actually. Nationwide, the Army Corps of Engineers is building 22 field hospitals. These are big hospitals, and alternate care sites in 18 states. So you have a combination of 22 field hospitals. In addition to that, we're building alternate care sites, which is a little bit of a smaller version of the hospital. And we have a lot of them, and they're going up in 18 different states. In total, we've deployed 8,450 hospital beds from federal stockpiles. And, you know, if you think this is done over a period of weeks, it's incredible, actually. More than 8,000 ventilators have been sent from the national stockpile to our cities and states, backed by the Defense Production Act, which we've used very strongly, very powerfully.
There it is.
So powerfully that we don't have to use it too much, frankly, and it's nice when you don't have to. We're getting more than we ever bargained for. American industry is stepping up. Manufacturers are really going to town, and we have thousands of ventilators being built. as we speak, and we have hundreds that are being sent to different locations, and we're ready to roll with almost 10,000 that we have in the federal stockpile. When I say ready to roll, too, I mean exactly what that states. We are, wherever that monster goes, we're able to move with it. Great flexibility. We have tremendous flexibility, and we have people waiting, and they're ready, willing, and able, but waiting to bring them wherever it may be, if they're needed. If they're needed. It's possible that they won't be needed, that we're fully stocked, because numbers are coming in where, because of what the American people are doing, we're having fewer hospital visits. I think that could be the case in New York. It could be the case in a few other states. And fewer beds, fewer hospital visits mean fewer ventilators. So we'll see whether or not our original projections were right. But anyway, I had a very good talk with both governors, and I think they're very happy, extremely happy about the what we're doing for them.
Yeah.
And especially going all COVID. So that'll take place almost immediately.
Going
FEMA
all COVID.
and HHS have directly distributed 11.7 million N95 respirators. Think of that.
There's million.
Get the number. 11.7 million N95 respirators. 11.7 million. 26.5 million surgical masks. 5.3 million face shields. 4.4 million surgical gowns, and 22.6 million gloves. 22.6 million gloves. We have also arranged for vast quantities of additional materials to be allocated through donations and existing supply chains. We've also given tremendous medical material and supplies throughout the 50 states and territories. And through Project Airbridge, we have succeeded in bringing plane loads of vital supplies into the United States from overseas. We had an additional 3. These are massive planes, by the way. The big planes are very big, very powerful, and they're loaded to the gills with supplies. And rather than bringing them into our stockpile, as we've discussed, we bring them to all the different locations where they're needed, so we can save a big step and a timely step. Because of my actions under the DPA, I can also announce today that we have reached an agreement, very amicable agreement, with 3M for the delivery of an additional 55.5 million high-quality face masks each month, so that we're going to be getting, over the next couple of months, 166.5 million masks for our frontline healthcare workers. So the 3M saga ends very happily. We're very proud to be dealing now with 3M and its CEO, Mike Roman. I just spoke with him and I thanked him for getting it done.
Sponsored.
And Mike was very happy to get it done. Great company. So we're getting 166.5 million masks, and mostly that's going to be for our frontline healthcare workers.
Right.
Okay? That's 3M. Thank you, 3M. I also want to thank Apple, one of the many great American companies that's really leapt into action. Today, Apple announced that it is now producing plastic face shields for healthcare workers at the rate of 1 million per week. 1 million, and these are the shields that you see on television quite a bit, and they're at the highest level of quality and safety. We're grateful as well to Salesforce, which has donated 48 million pieces of personal protective equipment, including masks, gowns, suits, and face shields.
Salesforce is actually a pretty good company. I don't know why they have so much PPE, though.
I urge all of our nation's governors to ensure that the massive deliveries that we've made to your states over the past few weeks are distributed as quickly as possible. So again, we're working very well with the governors. Now, they may see you and say, oh, we're not happy, but they're very happy on the phone. And Mike Pence is a straight shooter, and he had a great phone conversation to them with all of the governors, teleconference. And they're very happy, every one of them.
Right.
Were there any negatives?
No, sir.
No, sir.
See? I told you. Mike is the greatest. Mike, and you have done a great job, Mike, and I appreciate it. The whole country appreciates it.
Yeah, right.
Anthony appreciates it, right? Don't you see? Everybody appreciates
Oh my
Mike.
God.
Special man. So a lot of the things that we've done, again, are going directly to the states. The states seem to be very happy. If they're not, they can call me directly. They can call Mike directly, and we'll make them happy. But tremendous progress has been made in a very short period. And I think very importantly, the progress has been made before the surge comes, because the next week and a half is going to be a big surge, the professionals tell us. And I think we're in good shape for it, Anthony. So it's good timing, really good timing. We can have this stuff there. It's already there for the most part, but we're bringing a lot of different resources to the various locations, especially where the surge is looking like it's going to take place. Resources from the national stockpile need to reach our warriors, and they are warriors. I tell it all the time. I saw it again this morning. He's young, in many cases older, but they're walking into the hospital and they're putting on, I mean, as their doors open, they're going into this place, and, you know, it's not exactly too safe. And they're going in there and they're putting the outfits on and they're putting their masks on. And
This routine again.
It's incredible. It's like no different than you watch the war movies or you watch the old clips of war running up hills. To me, it's the same thing.
Right.
Men and women, young and old, but a lot of young people just going in there. They're not thinking about, oh, gee, this is dangerous. They're not saying, oh, I don't want to go in. They're warriors. They're running through those doors. It's the most incredible thing.
Trump's shocked because he would never do it, right?
It's an incredible, beautiful thing. Resources from the national stockpile need to reach these warriors in the hospitals immediately. And we're making sure
I think it's
do.
starting, guys.
And again, the states have that responsibility, but we're working with the states, and we're getting the states a lot of things that they can distribute, or when they tell us, we bring it directly to the hospital from the federal stockpile or from the planes that land, without even going to the stockpile. If any state's having difficulty distributing supplies, we urge you to use the National Guard to assist in the delivery. And I have to say, you have done a fantastic job. Deborah, you know that you've done great. Tony, you know that you've done great, but what a job you've done, and I appreciate it. I really do. Your whole group has been incredible.
Yes, Mr. President.
That's a lot of stars you have, I'll tell you that. He's supposed to do a great job when you have 4 stars, right? But the military has been incredible.
Right.
And I thank them for all of us. Conversely, if a state believes that it has surplus equipment or supplies, very important, because we actually have gotten so much to some of the states that they're able to now, they've done a fantastic job, and they've kept that line low. And we have some states that have surplus equipment and supplies, and they're working with us to rapidly redeploy those supplies to areas of greatest need. We thought that might happen. If it worked out well, that's what was going to happen, and it's happening. And I want to thank Governor Gavin Newsom, who's doing a tremendous job, who's announced California will send 500 ventilators to be distributed to other locations. I think some are going to Arizona, some are going to Washington, D.C. We think they're going to Delaware. We're working it out, but 500 excess ventilators from the state of California, and we're going to get them taken care of wherever they have to go. Those decisions are being made right now.
Right.
The members of the White House Task Force and I are in close touch with mayors and governors and hospital administrators across our country, and we're told that at the present time, most of the critical needs are being more than met.
Not everywhere.
States have to continue sharing detailed information in the amount and utilization rates of medical supplies so we know what to resupply them, or they can get it directly. That includes ventilators. They can get it directly. Ideally, if they can get it directly, but if they can't, if they're unable to do it, we have tremendous amounts of supplies, and we're building it up very fast, too. And this is before the big surge. This information is fundamental to our ability to deliver the material when and where it's most needed. Now, Mike, in his conversation today, I think, got some information as to a couple of locations where we're going to be delivering large numbers of ventilators and large numbers of medical supplies, and we'll take care of that. But some of the states are very happy. Even Governor Pritzker from Illinois is happy. Of course, he may not be happy when he talks to the press, but he's happy. He's a very happy man. We're increasingly hopeful that the aggressive mitigation strategy we put into place will ultimately allow our hospital system to successfully manage the major influx of cases that we have right now. Again, I say that we're finding, because of the incredible job done by the American people, in conjunction with everybody, governors, the military, federal government, state government, local government. I've had a lot of conversations with New York City and Mayor de Blasio. I've gotten to know him. I didn't know him.
Didn't know the guy.
Gotten to know him. A lot of people are working hard. Everybody's working hard. A lot of people are doing a great job. I'll tell you that. A lot of people are doing a great job. But the goal is that all Americans have been sacrificing to achieve these last few weeks, things that a lot of people thought were not possible to achieve. And I think we've more than achieved, but we have to go through. Again, we're going to have a rough week. We're going to have maybe a little more than a week. But there's tremendous light at the end of that tunnel. I said it last time, said it last night. There's tremendous light at the end of the tunnel. There's so many things happening with therapeutics, with vaccines, with things that we really want. Deborah, Tony, they're all working so hard on this, but those therapeutics, I mean, look, the vaccines are going to be always a little bit later because of that testing period, but the therapeutics, getting the kind of things that I heard about today, talking to these brilliant companies and brilliant people on the phone was fantastic. It was such an incredible conversation.
Fantastic.
And I also spoke just a few minutes ago with former Vice President Biden.
Really?
Who called, and we had a really wonderful, warm conversation. It was a very nice conversation. We talked about pretty much this. This is what we talked about. This is what everyone's talking about. This is what they want to talk about. And he gave me his point of view, and I fully understood that. And we just had a very friendly conversation.
Wow.
Lasted probably 15 minutes. And it was really good. It was really good. Really nice. I think it was very much. So I appreciate his calling.
Okay.
As we continue our efforts to develop treatments and cures this afternoon, I spoke with leaders of the American pharmaceutical companies, and just to give you their names, Amgen, Genentech, Gilead, Regeneron. These are four of the greatest in the world for doing exactly what they're doing. And currently 10 different therapeutic agents are in active trials, and some are looking incredibly successful, but we have to go through a process. And it's going to be a fairly quick process, I will tell you, based on what the FDA told me. And another 15 are in plans for clinical trials. So they're advancing rapidly. And today, a second company announced that the FDA has authorized its vaccine candidate to begin clinical trials. So you have Johnson & Johnson is already there. I believe they're the one that's first. And now we have a second company that just announced, and was just approved.
Yes, Mr. President.
So we have
yes.
two companies at that level for the vaccine itself. We've now performed 100, well, if you think of this, 1.79 million tests. That's 1,790,000 tests nationwide. And I think we're going to put up a screen here someplace. Good. They're on cue. They're just on cue. And here it is. This is the process starting on 5 March and ending right there, right about now, right? That's about it. Yesterday. So, and it's going up at a rapid rate. Nobody has done more testing. And one of the reasons why they say, and I think I can say this, Deborah, very strongly, but one of the reasons that we have more cases is we've done more testing. If I went to some of these countries that have, in my opinion, far more people than we do that had the problem, and if we did the kind of testing proportionally that we're doing, they'd have many more cases than us. But we have more cases because we do much more testing. So when you do the testing, you have cases. Otherwise, you wouldn't know about the
Fact check, we're 39th in testing per capita globally.
We have now done 1,790,000 tests nationwide. That's more than any other country in the world. Hence, we have more cases. And that number is growing by nearly 125,000 people per day. Think of that one. So it's growing by 125,000 people per day. I told you about South Korea. This is a, vastly faster. And we also have, they say, the most accurate of tests.
Right, best and
CVS
most
is launching, and they've been great. 2 new drive-through testing sites in Atlanta, Georgia, and Providence, Rhode Island. And each location will be able to test up to 1,000 patients per day using the ultra-fast 5-minute test developed by Abbott Labs. Now they're down to 5 minutes. They call it the ultra-fast. It's very accurate. Abbott Labs, I want to thank them.
That's not even true. It's not down to 5 minutes. It's that it's 5 minutes versus 15 for a yes versus no, or a no versus yes, something like that. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
As of today, tens of thousands of small businesses have applied for more than $40 billion in relief under the Paycheck Protection Program. You've all been reading about it, and it's really, it's only been going for a couple of days. It's really been performing well.
Applied.
A couple of little glitches, minor glitches that have already been taken care of.
Like no one has gotten money.
These funds will result in nearly 2 million jobs being preserved, so we're taking care of our workers.
Right.
Small businesses and our workers. Nearly 3,000 lenders have already made loans under the program, and we're signing up additional lenders very quickly, rapidly.
Not true.
Community banks have been very responsive, and larger banks are also stepping up. If we run out of funds, by the way, we're already preparing because it's going so fast for the small businesses and their employees. We'll ask Congress to refill it immediately. But the banks have been great. The big banks, the Bank of America was right up there at the beginning. J.P. Morgan Chase has been.
Yeah, I spoke to Bank of America. They said you need to have both the deposit and lending relationship with them as of February 15th. Trump hasn't mentioned that.
As we announced last week, we are providing $100 billion in direct support for our hospitals. And the first tranche, $30 billion, will be distributed this week. So I want to say one other thing. Our farmers, we love our farmers. And as you know, as of April 1st, the China trade deal, $250 billion.
There's China.
They purchased $250 billion from us, if not more. And of that, approximately $50 billion is expected to be with our farmers. So it kicked in as of April 1st, and we'll see how it goes. It seems like they're buying, so we'll let you know how that's going. But they're buying anywhere from $40 to $50 billion worth of our agricultural product. That should have a huge impact on our farmers, a tremendous impact on our farmers, but we're watching it very closely. To fight the medical war, we've mobilized the unbeatable, and it is unbeatable strength of American determination, ingenuity, and compassion. I got to see that when I spoke to the great science, because I call them science companies more than drug companies. They're scientists.
Yeah, you would.
We've seen businesses, charities, and private citizens making generous donations. So many people are making donations. We've seen states and cities supporting and helping each other and caring for our citizens. And we've seen Americans of all backgrounds and beliefs uniting together to answer the challenge and rise to the moment. And that's what they're doing. Above all, we've been awed and inspired by the exceptional courage of the doctors, nurses, EMTs, and healthcare workers who are the soldiers of this war. No words can ever express the complete measure of our gratitude for these intrepid heroes.
Really has a way with words.
One Cleveland patient credited his medical team for not only saving his life through their skill, but forever changing his life through their example of selfless devotion. Couldn't believe it, so generous he was with his statements. And he talked about their bravery in an area that was in such trouble, an area of that hospital where people were dying, and he talked about their bravery. Another survivor in Houston said simply, "I will consider them my angels forever. I will consider them," think of that, "my angels forever." As our nation endures the depths of loss and grief, we are also witness to the summit of American virtue, character, and courage. With the love and dedication of every American patriot, we will win this battle, we will defeat this enemy, and we will rise from this present crisis with new strength, unity, and resolve. And that's what's happening. Tremendous stories are coming out of this horrible moment, very dark moment for the world. 182. I was saying 151 for a while, and then it got up to 160, and it's 182, as I announced yesterday. 182 countries.
His friend didn't even know
being
about those
attacked
countries
by this virus. So I just want to thank everybody. I want to thank the American citizens for doing a great job. Stay inside and let's win this, and let's get our country open as soon as we can. I think it's going to be sooner than people think. Things are going really well. Again, light at the end of the tunnel.
Most
and
of the
with that,
deaths
I'll take
haven't
a few
happened yet.
questions, and then Mike is going to take over and talk with the Admiral and with the professionals, and we appreciate you being here. Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. You mentioned that you were asking U.S. drug companies to provide treatment to the British Prime Minister. What sort of treatment is that? Is that something that is available
Well,
to
it's
the
a
American
very,
public?
yeah, it's a very complex treatment of things that they've just recently developed and that they have a lot of experience with, having to do with something else, but recent for this.
This guy.
And they'll be, they've already concurred, they've already had meetings with the doctors, and we'll see whether or not they want to go that route. But when you're in intensive care, it's a big deal. So
Trump's sending
they're there,
treatment to
and
Boris.
they're ready. I think we have three of them. I spoke with four. You know who the four would be, and
For what?
you know the people within those. You'd know the companies. I told you the companies, but the people are the greatest.
Oh my
the
God.
greatest in the world. So they're at the hospital, and
Which
we'll see.
hospital?
And they have everything with them should it be needed. Hopefully it won't have to be
Everything
needed,
with
but
them.
should it be needed. I found Boris to be a fantastic person, just like a fantastic, warm, strong, smart guy. He loves his country.
Right.
You see that? I mean, he fought like hell for his country. And intensive care is big stuff, really big stuff.
Yesterday you were asked about this as well, but now that he's been moved to intensive care, does that give you and the Vice President any pause or additional concerns, steps that you're taking to preserve
Well,
the continuity of government here?
No, I don't think so. Mike had his test a couple of days ago. I had my test a couple of days ago. So, and we're here, and here you are.
He doesn't really seem to get it.
No, I don't think so. But I think we'll probably, just because of questions like that, I think we'll probably have maybe quite a few tests. It's not the worst idea. You know, the system of testing now is so quick and so easy.
Obviously, the idea is they should not be together, so they don't both get it.
You sure you're okay?
I'm okay.
Good, then I'm staying here.
Despite the nearly 1.8 million tests that you say the United States has done, the Inspector General for the Department of Health and Human Services released a report today, a survey of more than 300 hospitals across the country. And the number one complaint from those hospitals were severe shortages of testing supplies and
Well,
a
it's
really
just
long
wrong.
wait time. I mean,
It's
a
just
week
wrong.
or longer.
And did I hear the word Inspector General? Really? It's wrong. And they'll talk to you about it. It's wrong.
He fired
From
that guy.
government.
Well, where did he come from, the Inspector General? What's his name?
It came from the Inspector
No,
General
what's his name?
report.
What's
I
his
don't
name?
know his name
Well,
off the top
find
of
me
my
his name.
head.
Let me know, okay? If
But-
you find me his name, I'd appreciate it.
But sir, these are hospitals
All I can tell
that
you
do
is
not-
this:
sir,
we put up on the
these
board. You're going to ask the Admiral, but
These are
we are
hospitals
doing.
who say that they're waiting a week or longer
Fine.
to get
You'll
their
speak to
test
the Admiral.
results. Why
But
is
we've
it
done
still
more
taking so
testing
long?
and had more results than any country anywhere in the world. They're doing an incredible job.
Wow.
Now they're all calling us. They want our testing.
I'm waiting
What
for
we
Are You
doing?
Ready?
How do you do the 5-minute test? How do you do the 15-minute test?
The same test.
Give me the name of the Inspector General. Could politics be entered into that? Go ahead,
This
please.
is our
Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Are you worried about retaliation to your decision to ban export of medical goods, like Indian Prime Minister Modi's decision to not export hydroxychloroquine to the United States and other countries?
I don't like that decision. If that's, I didn't hear that that was his decision. I know that he stopped it for other countries. I spoke to him yesterday. We had a very good talk, and we'll see whether or not that's just. I would be surprised if he would, because India does very well with the United States. For many years, they've been taking advantage of the United States on trade.
Right.
So I would be surprised if that were his decision. He'd have to tell me that. I spoke to him Sunday morning, called him, and I said, we'd appreciate your allowing our supply to come out. If he doesn't allow it to come out, that would be okay. But of course, there may be retaliation. Why wouldn't there be? Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Paycheck Protection Program has gotten off to a confusing start for small businesses.
I don't think so. I think it's done very well.
Wells Fargo has stopped taking applications. Bank of America initially prioritized taking applications from clients that were already
Bank of
borrowers.
America has been the leader, taking tremendous numbers of applications.
He has no clue what's going on.
Of course, there may have been, they wanted to have a slightly different application. They wanted
yet.
to have a little different information. But Bank of America has been a leader. They're number one in terms of applications. I wish you'd ask the question differently. Why don't you say it's gotten off to a tremendous start?
She didn't get to the question.
But there were some little glitches, which, by the way, have been worked out. It would be so much nicer if you do that. But you're just incapable of asking a question in a positive way.
Is the federal government
It's
putting
already
in
done.
place
It's already
to
done.
ensure that there is
It's taken the
fairness?
measures. It's taken the measures. And we may even do a different system, not
Wow.
with this. We're going to have to probably add more money to this to save and to keep our small businesses going and to keep the employees of those small businesses working. But it's such a positive event, and you ask it in such a negative way. It just, I wish we had a fair media in this country, and we really don't. Speaking of unfair, go ahead.
Mr. President, the acting Secretary of the Navy told the crew of the USS Roosevelt that Captain Crozier was either, quote, too naive or too stupid to be in command. Is it appropriate for the Chief Officer of the Navy to be speaking this way about this captain? Is this
Well, I
the
haven't
right
heard
way?
it exactly. I haven't heard. I heard they had a statement that was made. If that were the statement,
How
it's
is
a strong
this? How is
statement.
this reality?
Look, the letters shouldn't have been sent, and certainly they shouldn't have been leaked. This is a military operation. I must tell you, I've heard very good things about the gentleman, both gentlemen, by the way. I will say this, but about both gentlemen, and I may look into it only from the standpoint that something should be resolved, because I'm hearing good things about both people.
There it is.
Look into, sir?
I may just get involved if it's okay with you.
Well, you mean you
Yeah,
might
because
get
you know what? You have two good people, and they're arguing. And I'm good, believe it or not, at settling arguments. I'm good at settling these arguments. So I may look into it in detail, and I'll be able to figure it out very fast. But that was a statement. It's a rough statement, but look,
if you decide it was...
letters should not have been sent to many people, unclassified. That was a mistake. It's a mistake that shouldn't have been made, because it's unfair to the families of the people on the ship because they get nervous, and it shows weakness. And there's nothing weak about us now, not anymore. We have the strongest military we've ever had, and we're not going to be showing weakness to anybody, because we have, that ship is incredible, nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, and we don't want to be writing letters. We don't want to have letter-writing campaigns where the fake news finds a letter or gets a leak. We don't want that.
There's fake
So the
news.
letter, excuse me, so the letter shouldn't have been sent. With all of that said, his career prior to that was very good. So I'm going to get involved and see exactly what's going on there, because I don't want to destroy somebody for having a bad day. Okay, does that make sense? Okay. Yeah.
Mr. President, Vice President Biden's spokesperson said that he made some suggestions to you about actions that you could be taking to deal with the pandemic.
He did. We had a very good talk. We agreed that we weren't going to talk about what we said, but we had a very, very good talk. It was a warm talk. I enjoyed it. I hope he enjoyed it too. And it was short. It was 15 minutes.
Did he have good suggestions? Anything that you're going to do?
Well, he had suggestions. It doesn't mean that I agree with those suggestions, but certainly he had suggestions.
He
And,
had them.
I also told him some of the things we're doing, but the conversation was a friendly, very friendly conversation. Yeah, please.
Thanks a lot, Mr. President. You've mentioned, other members of your task force have mentioned, over the course of the next 2 weeks, it's going to be a very difficult time for our country in terms of fatalities. And
It will be a difficult week and a half.
And there are a number of governors who are close allies of yours, Mr. President, who have refrained thus far to have these stay-at-home orders. And Dr. Fauci, who of course is on your task force, has said that the states that don't have stay-at-home orders are putting themselves at risk and the country at
Well,
risk.
if Dr. Fauci said that, I would be inclined to call them up. You know, we do have a
He said it a bunch of
constitutional
times.
problem in doing that. You understand that?
If
I mean,
he
there's
said
a
that.
there's a double-edged sword. You understand? I can do it, but it is a constitutional.
Recommending has no constitutional issue.
To different reasons, where I would rather have the governors do it, make their own determination. They're smaller, and not in all cases, but sort of they're smaller cases. But I'm not sure 100% that Dr. Fauci said that, but you can ask him. Tony, you want to say something?
Yeah, let's get Tony up there.
So, I had good conversations with the governor of Nebraska and the governor of Iowa here, and it's interesting that functionally, even though they have not given a strict stay-at-home, what they are doing is really functionally equivalent to that. And we had a really good conversation with both of the governors, and when I had mentioned that, I think there was a public response that they weren't really doing anything at all, and they really are doing a very good job, both of them. Those are the only two that I spoke to, but it was a really good conversation, and I want to make sure people understand that just
Keep asking
because
him questions,
they don't have a
please.
very strict stay-at-home order, they have in place a lot of things that are totally compatible with what everyone else is doing.
If I could ask a question, Dr. Fauci, before you.
Go ahead.
About getting back to normal, you said you wanted to get back to normal as soon as possible. Will we truly get back to normal in this country before there's an actual vaccine that's available to everybody? How do you start lifting the restrictions safely?
Yeah, well, John, if back to normal means acting like there never was a coronavirus problem, I don't think that's going to happen until we do have a situation where you can completely protect the population.
Wow.
But when we say getting back to normal, we mean something very different from what we're going through right now. Because right now we are in a very intense mitigation. When we get back to normal, we will go back gradually to the point where we can function as a society. But you're absolutely right. I mean, if you want to get to pre-coronavirus, you know, that might not ever happen in the sense of the fact that the threat is there. But I believe with the therapies that will be coming online and with the fact that I feel confident that over a period of time we will get a good vaccine, that we will never have to get back to where we are right back now. So if that means getting back to normal, then we'll get back to normal.
I think that with the therapies, and I think that with the vaccines, which I have total confidence are coming.
I'd rather hear from Fauci the whole time.
Johnson & Johnson, I'm talking to all of them. I think that when you add the tremendous stimulus that we're giving, like, for instance, deductibility for restaurant expenses for
They haven't done that.
restaurants and entertainment.
Has nothing to do with the question.
The money that we're talking about for small businesses and employees to keep everybody working, and
Off
other
rails.
things that we're frankly working on right now, which are going to be great for our people. I think when you add that to it, I think we could get more than back to normal from an economic standpoint, actually be better, but more than back to normal. But I would agree that we'd love to see a vaccine, but immediately would love to see a therapeutic.
Right.
And I think we're getting very close.
Do you think you'll be able to lift restrictions on April 30th? Right now,
I don't want to comment on that, but I can tell you that we certainly want to try. We certainly want to see what's going on. We're doing very well. Look, you look at those. You look at most places where that you can call it the bump. You can call it
I'm
the
guessing
hill.
at least May 15.
You can call it whatever you want to do it. It's very flat. You take a look, and that was done through mitigation. That was done through a lot of good work, and that far exceeded our expectations before. I mean, people can't even believe how low some of those bumps are, some of those hills are. They're very surprised. Now, you have a couple of tough ones. New Jersey's been very tough, and New York has been very tough. They're crowded in. You know, it's tight. It's tougher. But far exceeding. California far exceeds. Washington State far exceeds. You look at so many of these states, how well they're doing. The 8 states, by the way, and I haven't spoken to the governors, but Tony's so right. They may not have it from the standpoint that they're saying it, but those people are practicing it, and they're doing a fantastic job. Take a look at where they are.
Notice we're 5 layers away from the question.
But take a look where they are. So, but if I thought it was something that, and I've looked at him very carefully, looked at him today, looked at him yesterday. From a constitutional standpoint, I'd love not to get involved with that. And not from a legal standpoint, just from a moral constitutional standpoint. Because legally, I can. But morally, I believe in our Constitution much more so than most people.
Untrue.
And I'd love to be able to let the governors do what they have to do. Those states are doing a fantastic job, all 8 of them. They're doing a fantastic job. So we'll see what happens. As for your question, you fully understand what I'm saying, so thank you. Yes, please.
Hi, I have 2 questions, if I may, one from somebody outside the room. But first, Cascam, do you think Boris Johnson, when he talked about shaking hands with hospital patients, did he downplay the threat of this virus too much? And do you know exactly what his current
I think Boris was looking at it differently. He was looking at it earlier. He was looking at it like ride it out. There were many people thinking about riding it out, meaning, whatever it is. But then you see what starts to happen, and the numbers become monumental, and they decide not to do that. We actually moved early. We moved early because of what we did with respect to the ban on China coming in, and then Europe coming in. That was an early ban, too. And then UK. No, he waited a little while, and he felt that, but he got, he made a decision very quickly thereafter to do what they did, and they've gone to a very strict lockdown, but they're suffering greatly.
Question was about shaking hands with people in hospitals.
They're a nation that's having a difficult time, but I've gotten to know him. He's just such an incredible guy. It was just so shocking to see that, because you know what that means. Intensive care is a big deal with regard to what we're talking about. That's a very big deal, very scary deal. Yeah, please.
Just somebody who can't be in the room due to social distancing has asked me to ask a question. It's Thomas Howell of the Washington Times. How many health workers in the US have become infected with COVID-19? And if the answer is not known, will the CDC be publishing that data
I
soon?
could get you that information. I think they'd probably be willing to give that, right? Yeah, we could get you that information. Jeff, please.
Mr. President, OPEC is meeting on Thursday, and they have said that they are willing to make a cut in production if the U.S. chips in as well, which suggests that they want you to ask U.S. producers to do an
Well, you're the first
orchestrated
one
cut.
that's told me that. I don't know. We'll have to make that decision. And maybe we will, maybe we won't, but we'll have to make that decision. I think the cuts are automatic. If you're a believer in markets, I can guarantee you there's a cut from pre this condition. Look, this happened because of the virus. The virus knocked out 40%. It went down in 1 hour. I mean, literally, when places closed up, you're talking about a 40% cut. No, I think it's happening automatically, but nobody's asked me that question yet, so we'll see what happens. I'll let you know on Thursday evening.
All right, that's the deal. But you would consider asking U.S. companies to
Well, I think it's
reduce...
automatic, because they're already cutting. I mean, if you look, they're cutting back, because it's market, it's demand, it's supply and demand. They're already cutting back, and they're cutting back very seriously.
But if OPEC is asking for a signal from
Well,
the
nobody's
US,
asked me that, so if they ask me, I'll make a decision. Okay? But again, it's happening anyway. Yes, please.
In light of all the discussion about Prime Minister Johnson and his health, can you update us on the status of the second half of your physical that you were going to have this year?
So I had a physical. The first half was very successful. I did it on a day when I was in the White House, and we were able to do that, as the doctor reported. And I have the second half of the physical different. Probably is done at Walter Reed, and I'll do that at the appropriate time, but I feel very good, and according to the doctor, very good shape.
Can you imagine?
Can I just ask you again on the idea of a national stay-at-home recommendation? What is giving you so much pause about making a recommendation?
I told you. He understood very well. I appreciate your understanding.
Not constitutional.
It's not an order,
It's called
just
the
a
Constitution of the United States, and I'd rather have, if possible, for the governors to make the decision. If a decision was very necessary,
Just a
and they
recommendation.
have done a good job, and
Not an
Tony
order.
said it better than anybody, they are doing what we're asking them to do without having to put the seal on it. But
It's a
I will
recommendation.
say, if I thought it was necessary, I'll do it in a heartbeat.
Do you agree with the Georgia governor opening the beaches?
Opening what?
The beaches?
I haven't seen. I'm going to have to see to what extent. I'm going to have to see how many people you're talking about.
A lot.
Are they crowded? Are they packed? Are they not packed? We'll have to take a look at it. Right now, it's very early for beaches in Georgia. So it's right now, very early, so I'll take a look at it. He's done a very good job as the governor. He knows what he's doing, but
That's
we'll
a
have to
lie.
take a look. It really does depend on, how crowded it may be. But I will talk to him, and I will ask him that question. I would ask him, yeah, please.
Mr. President, you said last week that you were considering travel restrictions around hotspots. Is that something that's still on the table, and at what point?
We're looking at it, and the airlines have been cutting their routes. You saw that yesterday. They announced big cuts in routes. We need some flights for emergency use for military people. We need some flights for medical people, and there are very few flights, as you know. And the flights that are going out are, I think they said they're 3 to 4% full.
Wow.
You have 3% of the plane is occupied, so it's they're generally very empty planes. But it's good to have. It's a tiny amount of flights relative to the overall, and we need them also for medical workers. Otherwise, we're going to have to do a whole big thing with our own planes. So
this is true. To shut down every commercial flight actually can create more problems.
Those planes, and also when people get off the planes.
If I can follow up on this question of the HHS Inspector General, and by the way, her name was Christy Grimm, and it wasn't so much her opinion, but they interviewed 323 different hospitals.
Well, it still could be her opinion. When was she appointed? I'm
not sure when she was
appointed. Would you do me a favor? Let me know.
I'll check.
No, let me know now. I have to know now, John. Let me know now. Because we are doing an incredible job in testing. We are doing a better job than anybody in the world right now in testing. There's nobody close. And other nations admit this. Other nations have admitted it very strongly. Other nations are calling us, wanting to know about our testing. Let me know when she was appointed, would you?
Specifically,
Go ahead,
what
please.
she was saying was that there had been a delay in the
Okay, thank you very much. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Only last week, there were multiple flights coming from China full of medical supplies.
Yes.
Companies like Huawei and Alibaba has been donating to the United States
People I know very well.
1.5 million N95 masks, and also a lot of medical gloves and much more medical supplies.
Sounds like a statement more than a question.
And Chinese Ambassador Cui Tiankai last night wrote an op-ed on New York Times calling to cooperation with the United States. So are you personally working directly with China?
We just signed a trade deal.
Also fighting with the
It's
virus?
the biggest deal probably ever made. And I hope they're going to honor that trade deal.
Right.
If they don't honor the trade deal, then I'll tell you a different answer. But I think they will. They're going to spend billions of dollars for agriculture. They're going to spend billions of dollars for many different things. Whereas China never spent money in our country. We spent money. We had a deficit, a trade deficit with China for years of $500 billion, $400 billion. We had the biggest trade deficits in the history of the world with China. Now China's going to spend a lot, has agreed to spend $250 billion, many billions of dollars in our country.
Not an answer.
Much of it going to farmers and manufacturers. So I'll let you know. I mean, I hope they're going to honor the deal. We'll find out.
With China, are you cooperating with
I don't
China?
know. Who are you working for, China? You work for
I'm
China, or are
working
you with a
for
newspaper?
Hong
Who are you with?
Hong Kong Phoenix TV.
Who owns that, China?
It's
Is it owned by
based in
China?
Hong Kong.
No, is it owned by the state?
No, it's not. It's a private one.
It's Hong Kong, dude.
Okay, good. Okay. Look, I'll let you know. I'll give you a good answer to that in a few months. I wanted to see what they do.
He'll talk to her in a few months
It's time for them
about
to
it.
help us. Okay, it's time right now for China to help us.
China.
And hopefully they do. And if they don't, that's okay too. But we signed a deal. It was signed with great goodwill and spirit. And
esprit de
it's
corps.
time that our farmers benefited, our manufacturers benefited, and we'll see whether or not that deal is honored. And I think it will be, because I know President Xi, who I like and respect.
Xi.
And I think he will honor the deal he made with us. It just went into effect 4 days ago. I will see whether or not. In fact, I called up just a little while ago. I said, how are the farmers doing with respect to China? Are they buying the product as anticipated? And the answer was, yeah, I think so. But it wasn't the most positive, but it was starting. The deal just started. So I'll let you know. But, for many, many years, China ate our lunch because we had people in this position that I'm in right now that allowed China to get away with absolute murder. and it should have
I'm
never
calling that
happened.
blaming Obama.
But we are now dealing with China. We'll see what happens. Yeah, please.
Mr. President,
Wait.
I'll tell you
How
when
many
she
do
was
you want?
appointed.
How many do you want to ask?
So I was going to answer your question you asked me. She was appointed in January of this year for her current position as the Principal Deputy Inspector
Okay,
General.
we're going to take a look at it.
Not an
Go ahead.
Obama appointment.
Want to talk
Boom.
On the
Don't-
issue
don't
of
interrupt. He's
on the issue
talking.
of small business loans, sir, you said that businesses have applied for $40 billion in loans, but can you tell us how much of that money has actually gone out to the small
Beautiful
businesses?
question.
I can't tell you, but I know it goes out very quickly once the loan application's approved, and the process is very fast. And you have to understand, these are banks, and that's what they do, but they were swamped. They were actually swamped. Okay, go ahead.
I know you don't want to talk about the Inspector General report, but testing is still a big issue in this country. When can hospitals
Put the
expect?
slide up again, please.
When can hospitals expect to receive a quick turnaround of
Are you
these
ready?
test results?
Are you ready?
There's Are You Ready?
Hospitals can do their own testing also. States can do their own testing.
Are you
States
ready?
are supposed to be doing testing. Hospitals are supposed to be doing testing. Do you understand that? We're the federal government. Listen to me. We're the federal government. We're not supposed to stand on street corners doing testing. They go to doctors. They go to hospitals. They go to the state. The state is a more localized government. You have 50 of them, and they can go 50 within here. You also have territories, as you know, and they do the testing. And if you look at the chart, if you take a look, did they put it up? Yeah, just take a look.
I
And
don't
these
think
are-
we can say Trump's visibly sweating yet, but that upper lip is starting to gloss a little bit. So keep an eye on that because that is a bingo square.
and not really prepared. We have a brand new testing system that we developed very quickly, and that's your result. And you should say, congratulations, great job, instead of being so horrid in the way you ask a question. Please, go ahead.
Mr. President, today...
Yeah, I'd love to have the Admiral speak to that question. Yes, it's a great idea.
So I can talk a little bit more about testing later on, but as the President said, 1.79 million tests have
If you
been
close
done.
your eyes, this guy sounds a lot like Glenn Greenwald.
Hundreds of thousands of tests that are done within hospitals that are now currently not reporting, so I'm sure we're well over 2 million. That Inspector General report was done here, 23rd, 24th, during our ramp-up period. Quite a long time ago. There was clearly, and it's hard to interpret the report because it mixes up all kinds of things, but clearly there was complaints by some hospitals of a backlog, probably at
Hey guys, what the hell is Dr. Birx doing?
True. There was several days of backlog at some of the major labs that have been taken care of. We know now that the ACLA labs now have a 24 to 48 hour turnaround. They're doing well over 100,000 tests a day. We now have the Abbott machine that's point of care. That's 18,000 of those instruments throughout the country. The Cepheid machine is now all across the country with a 45-minute turnaround. We have worked directly with many of the hospitals that have their own laboratory-derived tests. Some of those really, quite frankly, didn't understand the regulatory freedom they have to use other different kinds of instruments or different kinds of reagents.
I'm a little bit delayed on my Morse code, but did Dr. Birx just blink torture in Morse code?
Everything is clear. We have a 24-hour call number. But that's what it was there for. And I don't know the Inspector General. I don't know that person. I tell you one thing I have a problem with. If there was such a problem that she knew about or he knew about on March 23rd and 24th, why did I find out about the tests from them on the news media at 8 o'clock this morning? If there was a problem, I think you're ethically obliged to tell me where that is so we can interact with it like I do every single day. But that's a discussion for the future. I think testing is really in a good position right now, and I'd be happy to expand on some of the really good tests that are coming up.
How long has that person been in government? Can I ask you that?
Did serve in the previous administration.
Oh, you didn't tell me that. Oh, I see. You didn't tell me that, John. You didn't tell me that. Did serve in the previous administration. You mean the Obama administration. Thank you for telling me that. See, there's a typical fake news deal.
You asked me when she was appointed. I told you when she was appointed.
You're a
by your
third-rate
administration.
reporter, and what you just said is a disgrace, okay? You asked me, you said, sir,
He's gotta say
just
you
got
should be
appointed.
ashamed of yourself.
Take a look at what you
For
said.
it to
Now,
count.
I said, when did this person, how long in government? Well, it was appointed in the Obama administration. Thank you very much, John. Thank you very much. You will never make it. Go ahead.
on the ventilators,
Well, that's
maybe this is
terrible.
best for Admiral Jawar, but Can you tell us today how many ventilators are in the federal stockpile?
I'm not going to tell you how many are in the stockpile, but I can tell you that we look at ventilator use granularly every single day in every single state and down to the hospital level. So we have been able to meet and easily meet all the ventilator requirements that have been brought to us by the state. No one has not gotten a ventilator that needs a ventilator. And as far as we can project, looking at all models, every person who needs a ventilator will get a ventilator. I'm a ventilator doc, right? I'm an ICU physician for children.
Was that the SIR routine?
Spent
I
every
missed
day
it
of
if
my
you
life
did the
managing
SIR
people on
routine.
ventilators. This is my community. It's also the Surgeon General's community as an anesthesiologist. So what we have in the stockpile, I think, is not a number that we give out, but we have thousands remaining in the stockpile. And now you're seeing out of the appropriate American spirit that when a state like Washington or California doesn't need that ventilator, they're doing the right thing by moving them around the country.
It's about 9,000, just so you understand. It's about 9,000. And by the way, you didn't tell me also that this Inspector General came out of the Obama administration. You didn't tell me that either. Okay, please, go ahead.
You didn't tell me.
Go ahead.
I'm looking, sir, just quickly here, I'm looking at this Inspector General's bio. She appears to have served in government since 1999, but I was hoping to ask you about your call with former Vice President Joe Biden. Is there something that you learned on that phone call, and has that changed your
No, I understood his views before the call.
opinion about speaking to people
I just think he's I think he's a nice man. I've always thought he was a nice man. I don't know him. I don't know if I ever spoke to him before, other than to say hello.
Can you imagine? Has been in government 21 years and it's somehow Obama's fault.
Cool.
Do you want to seek now the counsel of some of your predecessors, George Bush,
No, but
Barack Obama?
no, not really. We're doing a great job. Hey, this administration, we inherited a broken system, both militarily, where we've rebuilt our military, where we now have so much ammunition, whereas you remember a very important general said, sir, we have no ammunition.
There's
they
the
want to
SIR
save
routine
money
for sure.
on
Okay.
ammunition. They didn't want to save money because they spent money like nobody ever spent money. But you know what? We now have a great military rebuilt, and we have so much ammunition, we don't know what to do with it.
Man, he's really unhinged
And that's
today.
a nice feeling to have.
Triggered.
But they also gave us empty cupboards. The cupboard was bare. You've heard the expression? The cupboard was bare.
Just heard it
So
now.
we took over a stockpile where the cupboard was bare and where the testing system was broken and old. And we redid it. And frankly, it would be okay for a small event, but not for a big event. And they had a chance to do it. Somebody said that a certain person, I won't tell you, but a certain person said this will happen. And that's true. The problem is that person never did anything about
He's
it.
talking about Bill
Previous
Gates?
administrations, in previous
Who's he
administrations.
talking
They never
about?
did anything about it. You know, we all know all about pandemics and all of the things that we're seeing now, but nobody thought it was going to happen. And if we did think it was going to happen, the problem is nobody did anything about it. We
think
did.
that
We have
is-
rebuilt the system, and now we're a fine-tuned machine. We built thousands of hotel beds for
Oh,
New
no, I don't
York.
have it.
We moved a ship in that now we're going to make for COVID-19. We are going to make it so that people having this horrible thing happen to them will be able to use the ship. The ship, as I said, is going to be shared with New Jersey, New York and New Jersey. We've done things that are incredible. When you build, 18 hospitals? We built 18 hospitals. We built medical centers all over the country. And when you have Gavin Newsom and other governors who really have been very nice and generous in their statements, because they make the statements to the press, not just to my face. Others tell us how great we're doing, like the call that Mike had today. I heard from other people that were on the call. He said it was incredible. It was 2 hours, and everything was positive. They were so happy with what we've done. And we're ready to do more if they need it, because we're ready to march. The Admiral can tell you, we are sitting there with 9,000 ventilators, and we're ready to march when we see that we can move very quickly.
Thought it was
As soon as we
13,000.
see that need, we can move very quickly. We're ready to march. We built a great system. The problem is the Democrats, like a guy like Chuck Schumer, is a total lightweight, by the way. I've known him for a long time. He'll say, why don't you put a military man in charge? Military man? I have all military men. This man is doing an incredible job. We have 2 admirals, numerous generals. We have the Army Corps of Engineers. We have FEMA. We have this whole force that like nobody's ever seen before. We have a great military operation, and they've done an incredible job.
They got to pull him off.
And honestly, people should respect, because nobody's ever seen anything like what we've done. And what they end up with, forget about me, don't worry about
That's
me.
on here. Yep,
Again,
like you've never seen
I will
before.
only
That
get
counts.
bad.
That
If I
counts.
say, how many ventilators do you
That's
need,
the
Governor?
gist.
1,000 would be great. I said, nope, I'm going to send you 10,000. And then you'll call up from the media. You'll say, how did Trump do? We're not happy. He didn't send us enough ventilators. Because that's called politics. But if you look at what's happening, and I'm even surprised, the governors are saying all good things, but the Democrat governors, and a couple of rhinos, frankly, they're rhinos, that's all they are, one rhino in particular, but the governors are saying great things. He had a call that lasted 2 hours today.
Perfect, beautiful
I heard
call.
about the call, not just from Mike. It was a perfect call. Now,
There
I'm
it
sure
is.
you were on the call, even though you're not supposed to be. I'm sure you were on the
Perfect
call,
call.
meaning some of the media was on the call, because they're constantly reporting the call. If they're honest, they will say it was a great call. Okay? Okay, next question, please. Here we go. This one.
So,
Here we
you,
go.
you didn't mention the hospitals that were built in New Orleans and Dallas today, but you've mentioned them a number of times previously. There seems to be some concern in Texas that they might lose the hospital in Dallas if it's not
We're never going to do anything that hurts
if
Texas.
it's not used yet.
We're only helping Texas. By the way, the governor's doing a great job over there with this situation. And Texas is so big, you have some parts of the state that are affected, other parts that aren't affected at all. You know, it's an incredible place.
But can they keep this hospital even if it's unused? Or is the federal government going to shift those resources elsewhere?
Well, we're going to use whatever we need, and we're doing it totally in conjunction with the governor.
He has no clue.
Okay?
No
We're doing
clue.
it in conjunction
Literally
with
no
your
idea.
Texas governor, who's done a fantastic job. Great.
Governor Abbott also has set up checkpoints at the border to check people coming
Yep.
in from Louisiana. We've seen checkpoints in Florida, other state borders. Americans are not
Very
really-
few people are coming through our border, and you'll be happy to know we're up to mile 161 of the wall.
He's talking about the U.S.-Mexico border, questions about state borders. Can
But
you
on the
imagine?
border between Mexico, we have 161 miles
He's
of
not
wall.
asking about
internal
that.
borders.
Okay.
Americans they're not used to seeing border checkpoints between states. How much longer, and is that something that states have to deal with you?
First, you want us to call 8 governors and tell them to do something. And then you're complaining that another governor is so strict that he actually checks the borders. I understand why he's doing that, because he knows who he has, and he doesn't want people coming in if they should maybe, not be to the liking of the doctors. No, I think look, he's done a great job. He's done a great job with this case, as have many other governors,
Completely
but he's done a
incoherent.
great job. One of the things I thought you were going to say is we've been very tough on our southern border.
He
as
wasn't
you know,
talking
very,
about that.
very tough.
No.
And part of that's because of the fact that we have so much, when you talk about 160 miles of new wall, nobody's coming through that.
It's weird. Last week he said 120. Now it's 160. 40 miles in like 3 days.
We will have, early next year, we'll have close to 500 miles of wall, which is what our goal was.
You mentioned
That's also a lie. He promised a full wall by the end of his first term.
conference call today, and he said that he believes that a COVID-4 relief bill will be necessary. Do you share that belief, and what would be contained in such
I
a bill?
don't know necessarily, but I certainly want to listen. And what I want to do is 2 things. A real infrastructure, not a Green New Deal, the carbon footprint. I'm not looking for the carbon footprint. We want to put people to work. But and frankly, for so many years, we've let our infrastructure go to hell because we were wasting all our money in the Middle East and other places, okay? I want to rebuild our country. I don't want to rebuild. We're tired. We've rebuilt, if you call it that. We're destroyed, frankly. What we've done is so crazy. What we have done, the direction that this country has taken is so sad. But we're in the Middle East for $8 trillion. And if you want to fix a pothole in a highway, you can't do it because they don't want to give you the funds. So we want to have an infrastructure bill, a real one, like in the vicinity of $2 trillion to completely rebuild our roads, our bridges, our highways, our tunnels, everything. And I'm totally open to listening to that. I'm also open to listening to and even putting forward, because we're going to be putting something forward, more money for our citizens because they've gone through trauma. This has been trauma. This came out of nowhere. And I say it, and I'll say it again, we had the greatest economy in the history of the world.
Ever.
We had the most people working in the history of our country, almost 160 million people, far more than ever before. And then one day, our professionals...
So listen, he's just lying, so I'll tell you. That is the work the labor force participation troll. So the population of the U.S. keeps growing. So at most times, we have more people working than ever before and more people not working than ever before. When it was Obama, they would say there's more people than ever not working. Now that it's Trump, they say there's more people than ever working. Well, there's actually both. The population continues to grow.
That she said on Saturday,
Go
sir.
ahead. Yes, please.
May I ask Dr. Brooks to clarify something that she said on Saturday? If I may, Dr. Brooks, this is a question that comes from a radio colleague of mine, Tamara Keith. And on Saturday, it sounded like you said that for the next week, people in high-risk areas should not even go to the market or the drugstore. Is that what you meant to say, or is that accurate?
You know, out of respect for every single healthcare worker that's on the front line, whether they're a nurse, a doctor, a respiratory therapist, the phlebotomist, the persons who come in the rooms to clean, you know, out of respect for them, we as Americans should be doing everything possible. And what I meant was, if you can consolidate, if you can send one person, the entire family doesn't need to go out on these occasions. We really need, this is a highly transmittable virus. We've been saying that we want every American to know that what they're doing is making a difference, but we need to have solidarity of commitment from everyone to really, so, you know, maybe once every 2 weeks we can do a grocery store and pharmacy shop for the entire family. So it was really about, we have to do everything we can. I know I see on the TV stations the level of human suffering in the hospitals. Dr. Fauci and I and Admiral Giroir have spent our lives taking care of others. We need to take care of each other now as Americans and do everything that's in those guidelines. And I know they're tough. I know incredibly how tough they are. My grandchild of 10 months got a fever of 105 this weekend. I'm the doctor, and I couldn't get there. I mean, so I'm trying to explain to my daughter how to listen to her lungs, how to listen to her lungs, and then the baby's lungs.
You did not get there?
I did not go there.
Good, I'm very happy about that.
Because of you two. I mean, when you can't take that kind of risk with the leaders of the country.
Your grandson's okay?
So, daughter, but she's
That's
coming
a lot
out
of temperature, 105.
Yes. But, you know, we're all, and that's just an illustration that I know you all are making sacrifices, and I guess I want everyone to take this seriously. So that was really a call of seriousness of how important this is and how we're starting to see the impact, but you can see what can happen when you come at this a little bit too late.
It's a lot of temperature.
And that's why the message, before you see it, before you have to see your hospitals and your emergency rooms overwhelmed, it is on us as a member of this community,
Trump's
of this
doing
country,
the swivel guys, yeah.
to do everything possible to save one another. And so that was really what I was saying, and I will continue to say that, because I do believe it's making a difference. You can start to see it
He also
making
looks
a
bored
difference,
and
but
orange.
we have to do even more right now, because that will predict where we are 2 or 3 weeks from now.
Thank you, Deborah. And it is making a big difference. I saw where Governor Cuomo was a little bit upset today over the weekend. A lot of people outside, and there were pretty big groups of people. I saw that. I noticed that, and he wasn't happy with that. And I could understand that. Look, we have a short period of time. Hopefully, it's a short period of time to go, and let's get it done. Let's get it done. Kristen, did you have a question?
Yes, I do. Thank
You're
you.
so
Quick
quiet.
follow to, just got here, apologies.
Because you have your own show.
No. Quick follow to the question about legislation. I know there's discussion about a phase 4, but are you also looking seriously at a second round of direct payments? And are you putting discussions on a potential phase 4 on hold for now while you pursue that?
Well, I was opposed to the way of distribution, money distribution through, as you know, unemployment and through the state offices, because they have very old, not all of them, but many of them have 40-year-old equipment, as I've said, and it makes it very difficult. But that's what they're looking, that's what they want to do. That's the way it's mandated to do. I thought it would be better if we did a direct payment system, but the Democrats really wanted it, and I think they had some help from a couple of people that I would have Had I spoken to him, I would have convinced him otherwise, I really believe. But it's getting out, and the federal government has done its job. All we can do is give this massive amount of money to the states. The states then are responsible to distribute it, a little bit like we're talking about here. But the money will be right on time from the federal government. Then the states have to do their job in getting it out.
There needs to be a second round of those payments.
We could very well do a second round of direct. I would do it direct.
Is that under serious discussion?
It is absolutely under serious consideration.
Wow.
In terms of Chuck Schumer, he also said he spoke to your chief of staff about potentially appointing a czar to
Yes.
oversee the supply chain.
Could be Ronald Klain.
Is that something that you
But
would
we
consider
have people
doing?
that are so talented. I know the people he suggested. They're wonderful people. They worked here. They're wonderful people. He's just doing that because it's politics. Because you know what?
Person right now, Mr.
We have many, depending on what. In terms of testing, this gentleman right here. You know who the point person is? This gentleman right here. He's the one in charge
let
of
him
the task
talk
force.
then.
But Mike, you may want to tell him about.
Oh, no. Oh, he was talking
This is really
I
a
thought he was
military
talking about
operation.
Fauci.
In terms of the supply chain.
Let me answer your
Please,
first question,
please.
if I may, because it's a very good question, and I spoke to Senator Schumer night before last about just that. When the president signed
nights
the
running.
declaration of national emergency, he stood up FEMA as the lead agency implementing his policy to marshal a whole of government response. And under FEMA, we provide federal support. The state manages the healthcare response, and healthcare providers and first responders implement that response on a local level. Our lead on this issue in implementing it is Administrator Pete Gaynor. But the man managing all of the supplies, and you heard a presentation this weekend about our air bridge, what we also call the control tower. We literally, with Admiral John Polovchik at the helm of our logistics effort, we have visibility now on all the supplies that are moving across this country and into this country from around the world. It really is extraordinary. I mean, when the president tapped FEMA to lead this effort, we essentially wanted to say, we want to organize this in a military fashion. And we tapped really someone who is widely regarded as the #1 supplies and logistics military officer to do just that. He really is an extraordinary individual. Admiral Juar has known him for a long time. And to be working with Admiral Polovchik, we speak every morning. Our team reviews the data.
This is
we
meaningless.
go over that with Administrator Gaynor and Admiral Polovchik. We talk about an extensive team that's identifying supplies around the country and around the world. And then, as we were explaining to governors today, we work with the requests that are coming in from states with a priority on the areas that are dealing with widespread outbreak, like the greater New York City area, New Jersey, Louisiana, focus on Detroit, focus on Chicago and Illinois. And then what Pete Gaynor and Admiral Polovchik are doing is directing those commercial distributors to send the resources directly to the front lines of the battle against the coronavirus. It is an extraordinary system. And as I explained to the governors today, as I've explained to congressional leaders, who've made what I think is a good faith recommendation, that we organize this in a manner of military logistics. It's exactly what President Trump has done. And it's what we're doing every single day to make sure that healthcare workers, to make sure that the states that are dealing with a widespread outbreak of coronavirus can be confident that we're going to spare no expense, leave no stone unturned, and use this extraordinary apparatus centered in FEMA to get the people of our country what they need, when they need it, to battle the coronavirus.
And Kristen, when Schumer makes a statement like that, he's only doing it for politics. He knows. We have the best generals, the best admirals, we have the best people. These are incredible leaders. These are vibrant people. They've done such a good job. And again, you'll get a tape of the conversation, because I'm sure some of the governors probably had their favorite reporter listening to the conversation, even though they weren't supposed to, but that's happened before. Just so you understand, we had a call today that was a beautiful call, everybody friendly.
This is coronavirus
everybody
voice.
happy. They also know in some cases we'll get them a little bit more, and if they need it, we'll get them a lot more depending on where this monster is going. But when Schumer does that, take a look at the past. Well, you're going to have to tell me who. They certainly don't. Well, yeah, some Democrats, because they view this as a campaign issue. They want to make Trump look as bad as they can because they want to try and win an election that they shouldn't be allowed to win, based on the fact that we have done a great job. We built the greatest economy in the world. I'll do it a second time. We got artificially stopped by a virus that nobody ever thought possible. And we've handled it, and we've built a team, and we've built an apparatus that's been unbelievable. Take a look at the swine flu, right? That's H1N1. Take a look at that. And it's not the other way around, by the way. It's H1N1. You know what I mean by that. Take a look at the swine flu. It was a disaster. 17,000 people died. The other administration, they didn't even know. It was like they didn't even know it was here. And that was peanuts compared to what we have in terms of the power, the magnitude of what we're going through.
Oh, boy.
This is attacking 182 countries simultaneously.
This is not a good direction for him. This is pretty vile.
Schumer's just all about politics. I've known him almost all of my adult life, and he's a disgrace. In many ways, he's a disgrace. And he knows it's done. He just wants to do that. But he knows the job we're doing. Everybody's amazed at the job we're doing. And the public is starting to find out. One of the reasons I do these news conferences, because if I didn't, they would...
Fact check, Trump's approval on coronavirus is down, down, down.
They see us with admirals. They see us with this talent. They see the job that Mike Pence has done, which has been an unbelievable job. An unbelievable job. I put him there. I thought he'd do well. He did great as the governor of Indiana, and I thought Mike would do well. He's done much better than well. And he gets along with people, I think, much better than I do.
Imagine that.
Because I like people being 100. Mike can put up with things that sometimes I say it's amazing that he can put up with it. But he's done an incredible job, and so has the entire team. This is a military operation. And again, we built 2,900 beds in Javits Center.
So he's unhinged. I mean, these things have nothing to do with the question from Kristen Welker. Nothing, nothing, nothing to do.
1,000 beds, much more now, in McCormick Place. That's their big convention hall. The equivalent of Javits Convention Hall. Big McCormick Place. Fantastic place. By the way, the mayor of Chicago, at least on the phone, is extremely happy with what we're doing, thanking us.
This would be the type of thing like in Freudian psychotherapy. It would be like free association, where the therapist says very little and Trump goes from one topic to another, and next thing you know, you're 7 layers away. This was a very specific question about Chuck Schumer.
Yes, Mr. President, a national security question and then a question about Governor Cuomo. The national security front, to the extent that you can comment on this, your administration is making heavy preparations to move against the cartels in Latin America right now. And could you
said
expand?
Latin America?
Yes. Could you expand on the reasoning of why now? Are there supply and logistics especially weak? Is it political?
Yeah.
What's the reasoning?
Good question. We've moved a tremendous number of boats and ships to the area of different areas of exactly where you're talking about, because we're tired of drugs pouring into our country from other places, and we're tired of seeing drugs pouring into different parts of Latin America, South America, and just coming into our country. Now we've got them stopped at the border, and they're trying to do it by sea. So we stop them at the border and frankly, with the help of Mexico. Mexico right now has 27,000 soldiers on our southern border. They never had any soldiers.
Right.
They're doing that because I've asked them to do it. That's the only reason they're doing it. They have 27,000 soldiers. So now they're trying to bring it in by boat and by ship, the drug lords and the people doing drugs and trying to destroy our country.
Doing drugs. Consider the war on drugs maybe as an element here.
Very, very hard. And that's why
Is
we're
it
doing it.
activities that U.S. assets are targeting, or
Say it?
is it beyond narcotics? Are there other illicit activities that
Well,
U.S. assets are
there
targeting?
are the activities of human trafficking, and especially with respect to women. As you know, proportionally, it's mostly women. And it's a horrible thing. It's a horrible thing. And there's never been a time like it. And it's because of the internet. And this is all over the world. But for the most part, they're coming through, in this country, they're coming through the southern border. but we're hitting them very hard. They have tremendous illegal trafficking in women and children also, but mostly in women. And it's illegal, and it's horrible, and it's disgraceful, and I've seen things that are an absolute disgrace.
Yep.
And we're trying to knock them out, and we're knocking them hard. And again, I want to thank the president of Mexico because he has really stepped up to the plate. 27,000 soldiers. They've never had any soldiers on our border. And I did that because
That's
the
a lot.
Democrats will not approve anything to stop because they want to have open borders. They want to have all these people flowing through our border. And in many cases, they're sick. They have problems that you don't want to know about. Or they're criminals in many cases. Not in all cases, but in many cases. And they don't want to have, they want to have open borders. They want to have sanctuary cities. So they protect criminals. And
Lie.
And Joe Biden does want to have that also, as you know,
Lie,
because he
lie,
said that
lie.
during numerous debates. I want to have strong borders, and I don't like protecting criminals with sanctuary cities. But we're doing it for drugs, we're doing it for human trafficking, we're doing it because you have to do it. We either have borders or we don't have a country.
Trump,
All right,
here's
go
a lot
ahead.
of respect.
Mr. President, on the question of antibody testing, which is FDA approved now but not widely available yet. I know the Admiral said by May you expect to have millions available. How are you going to prioritize who's going to get the antibody tests, and what is that going to show
has
you?
no
You
idea.
think that's going to be immunity?
I mean, I have an answer, but I'd rather have the Admiral answer that.
So let me clarify, and I know you probably understand this, is the antibody test does not tell you if you have the active virus in your nose. If you're positive for the antibody, it strongly implies, it means that you have had the virus before. And to the degree that we know of medical knowledge, you will probably, highly probably, be protected against getting the virus again in the future. So I want to make something clear. There's no antibody test approved, okay? Approved is not a word we talk about. There is a test or two that has received emergency use authorization, and many, many, many others out there that have not gone that way yet. And I want to take this opportunity to caution. There is a very consolidated effort between the FDA, CDC, NIH, to validate some of the tests that are on the market right now.
Yes.
Because it is very important that they actually do what they say they do.
Right.
And we have reason to believe that not all of them are going to perform well.
That's
I
correct.
don't know the primary source, but the Financial Times just reported that the UK had 17.5 million antibody tests that they bought, and none of them work. So we're not going to get in that situation. We're going to be very careful to make sure that when we tell you you're likely immune from the disease, that test really said that. Now, I will also make a statement, and there's a lot of work on here, and I'm very excited about it. As opposed to the tests for a novel virus, the antibody type tests are very sophisticated technology, but they're old technology. This we expect to have many tens of millions of tests the first month that we are really sure that the test makes sense.
That's good news.
So this allows for surveillance screening, and
Must
Dr.
do
Birx
it.
is one of the world experts to understand, is 1%, 5%, 20% of Americans have been infected. But it also allows us to have very widespread, tens and tens of millions of people screened with a finger prick on the spot.
By when? Just to be by May, you're saying this will happen? Or
So
when?
science doesn't run on rails, right? So we need to make sure that the FDA, the NIH, which they're actively doing right now, assure that the tests that they're testing really do perform the way they should. And if things work out the way we believe they will, we will have millions on the market by May in a sophisticated way, in a prospective way, that we get the surveillance we need. We can test people to see if they've been exposed, immune, and go back to work. And a combination of that kind of test with the current kind of test we have now is how America opens back up.
And how do
Let's
you
hope so.
prioritize who gets those tests? I mean, tens of million, we're a country of 300 million. How do you determine who you're going to have that test?
Well, we are having active discussions under the leadership of Dr. Birx and the task force, but you can imagine how that is, right? But with tens and tens and tens of millions of tests per month that are available, you could really do very widespread testing. But let me just give you an example.
Which nobody else can do, by the way. No other country can do.
I'll just give you one example. It would be very important to know if the virus is still circulating here, whether, for example, a healthcare worker or a long-term care nursing home worker is immune from the virus and can't carry it.
Right.
Very, very important to protect our elderly in that situation. But also, if you haven't been exposed, to make sure that you really take precautions and maybe take care of the people who don't have the virus and you don't have the virus. So it's complex, but it's not complicated on how you go about looking this in different segments of society. And I don't want to take too much more time at the podium, but antibody tests are a different thing. They're coming. We're highly confident that this can be scaled very rapidly and provide us a bit of information we just don't have now.
Indeed.
Jeff, go ahead.
Mr. President, may I follow up on
A
what
few
you
more, we'll do a few more.
May I,
And then Mike is taking over, and you're going to see some incredible work that's been done. Go ahead, please.
may I please follow up on what you said with regard to Captain Crozier before? You said
Yes.
you didn't want to punish him for having a bad day.
He had a bad day, or bad week.
Does that
But
mean?
I don't, yeah, I'm gonna look into it, and I also think our Navy Secretary, he's a highly respected man. So sometimes that happens with people, and I'll take a look at it.
What do you mean by that? Would you consider
He had a bad
reinstating
day
him?
when he sends a letter out, and he sends copies all over the place, and it's not a classified letter. And it was very disconcerting to the families of the people on the ship, very disconcerting. So number one, they get worried and scared. It was weak. We don't want weak. But I'm going to take a look because I think he, looks to me like he's an outstanding guy. I looked at his whole, just a little while ago, I looked at his file. And people have bad days, and we'll take a look at it.
My question is, what would you consider doing for him?
Well, we'll take a look. I want to speak also to the Secretary. I also want to speak to Secretary of Defense, Mark Esper is doing a fantastic job. And we'll, maybe I can help the situation out. I mean, you guys are saying, why is the president getting involved and going? Well, I like to solve problems. It's a problem, I don't want to see men hurt, women hurt. I don't want to see people hurt unnecessarily. Maybe we can solve it easily where, it's not life-changing. But he did a bad thing, sending a letter out and many, many copies, as you know. I don't know, I heard 28 copies, I heard a lot. That's a lot of copies. Plus the letter was 5 pages long. I haven't read the letter, but I think it was 5 pages long, single-spaced. It's a lot of writing. He's the
3-inch
captain
margins.
of the ship. He's a very important
18-point
person
font.
of a very expensive ship, a nuclear-powered ship. He should be writing letters like that. But it happens. Sometimes I'll write a letter that I say, I wish I didn't send it.
Yes.
Not too often, but it happens.
Mr. President.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Quick follow-up on that, because the acting Navy Secretary, and I know you were asked about this, but I just want to try one more time. He did say in remarks to soldiers on the USS Roosevelt that Crozier was, quote, too naive or too stupid to be in command if he didn't think that writing
Well,
that
I
letter
don't want
was
to
a
comment
bad.
on what he said. I understand.
Different language,
It's
Mr. President.
tough language, but I don't want
Tough
to, let's
language.
not get into that. It's tough
Tough.
language. Now, there are some people that think, oh, wow, he says it like it is. Look, he made a mistake. He should not have sent that letter. Or he should have gone through his chain of command, which is the typical way of doing it. He's in the military. He's a very important person in the military. He knows it better than anybody in this room what he should have done. And I'm sure he feels he made a mistake. But I'm going to look into it, and I'm going to see maybe we can do something, because I'm not looking to destroy a person's life who's had an otherwise stellar career, as I understand it. I looked at his file just now because I've been seeing what's going on. If we can
And save
save,
him?
if we can save a person's career, I don't mind going after a person if they did something wrong. And, but this was a mistake. He made a mistake. I'm not justifying what he did. He made a mistake. Shouldn't be sending letters. He's the captain. He's a very important person in the military. You don't send letters and then it leaks into a newspaper of all newspapers. That was a beauty, right? So you just don't do that. So it was a mistake. But I may get involved. I'll call Secretary of Defense and find out a little bit about it. And if I can help two good people, I'm going to help them.
Sir, on the
Your tone seems to have changed a little bit since
Say
Saturday. Your tone seems to have changed a little bit on the captain since Saturday.
On the captain?
Yeah,
No, it
is it
hasn't.
the
I
news
mean, look.
coverage, or did
Okay,
somebody
ready?
speak to you on his behalf?
I said when you asked me and when the question was asked the last time, I said, shouldn't have sent the letter. I haven't changed. He should not have sent a letter. And it should have, if there's a letter, it should go classified, it should go to his superior. and he shouldn't be jumping over
Files,
superior.
sir. Did
So
somebody
it
ask
hasn't
you to?
changed in that regard. The only thing that has played right up here with me is that I looked at his record,
Oh, God.
and he's been an outstanding person. If he wasn't, I wouldn't even be talking about this. He's been an outstanding person. He's had a very exemplary military career. I mean, you know, he started off as a helicopter pilot. They called him Chopper. His name was Chopper. He was a great helicopter pilot. It's a tremendous skill. I know a lot about helicopters.
Oh, yeah.
And then he went to F-16s or F-18s, and he was a tremendous pilot. And then he's very smart. He studied nuclear energy, and he was fantastic. And very few people have the aptitude, they have the mentality to do that. Nuclear energy is very complex, it's very hard. Very few people can do it.
You got to pull him off
And he
stage.
did it well. And then he became the captain of a nuclear ship, right? He became if replacement cost, if you look at replacement cost, $18 billion a replacement cost, right? So he's got, on a replacement cost basis, an $18 billion ship. You know, the President Gerald Ford, very expensive. That's, you know, the nearest thing I can think of, but they're spending money on that one like nobody's ever seen. So he made a mistake. He made a mistake. And maybe we're going to make that mistake, not destroy his life. Okay, a couple of more.
President, you mentioned medical professionals. You compared them to soldiers going onto the battlefield.
Yeah.
Many doctors and medical workers today, some have seen pay cuts. They're going into a certain environment where they're concerned about their own health, their families' livelihood, if something were to happen to them.
Very much in my mind.
As part of this phase 4, are you going to prioritize?
It doesn't have to be phase 4. I think it could be a separate phase when it's all over. Right now, I don't think they want to think about it. These people don't want to think about it. These people are incredible. They're not thinking about how much am I getting paid. These people are incredible. I've seen it. I see the spirit. I hear about it all the time. From Mike, from the Admiral, I hear about it all the time. These people are incredible. When it's all over, I do want to seriously think, maybe in the form of bonuses. These people are, what they've done is incredible. I just admire the attitude, and I've said it. They walk into those hospitals and they are seriously, you know, one of the things that came up with the Comfort, the ship, is that when we fulfilled the request of Governor Cuomo and Governor Murphy, and they're going to be splitting up, but, you know, a lot of things happen to ships when you do that. You know, it's a lot of, they didn't want to do this. In fact, they specifically didn't want to do this. Have patients that were affected with this horrible disease or whatever, the plague, because frankly it's a plague. That's exactly what it is. You'd read about it in the old days, the plague, and that's
Say
exactly
invisible
what
enemy.
it is. But we're doing it. But when I see the bravery of these people walking through doors without their stuff, I mean, they're just getting, they're not standing outside, hey, let's get ready, they're running through doors, putting on the stuff that's not even on. I think it's incredible. I'm telling you, the nearest thing I can think of is soldiers in battle and soldiers going right into battle, because that's what they're doing. It's really, in many ways, it's the same thing. All right, how about one more?
One more question, Mr. President. You may have seen this, the Masters tournament has been rescheduled to November. 2 questions. A, is that an outgrowth of your conversation that you had with sports commissioners on
I hope
Saturday?
it's rescheduled. I hope football's able to start. I hope baseball can get to play a little bit.
Let him
I
ask
hope
a question.
basketball
Come
can
on.
maybe do their playoffs. I mean, hey, I have no interests or anything other than I want what's good for the country.
What about the U.S.
A lot of
Open, which
people are
you've attended many
tired.
times?
Yeah, a lot of people are tired of looking at games that are 5 years old. I looked the other day, I saw somebody, I said, wow, he looks great. I forgot. I said, oh, that was 9 years ago. I said, he's really in great shape. Well, not in great shape now, but he was in great shape then.
Right.
It was 9 years ago. You know, you get tired of looking at 9-year-old baseball games and playoff games that took place 12 years ago.
Holy
I don't have much time to do that, frankly, but that's what people are doing. And they want to see sports. Sports are a great thing for this country. And I hope football can start. And I told them, I think you might be able to. They may very well be able to. I hope they can start. And I hope they can start with people in the stands. You know, we're not going to be separated. You have seats. Those seats are meant for people to sit next to each other. And when this virus is gone, people are going to be sitting next to each other. And just for the restaurant industry, so they understand, when the virus is gone, people are going to be sitting next to each other.
Right.
One man said, I have a 200-seat restaurant. It's been great. But if I go by these rules, this 200 seats goes down to 60. I said, no. You have a 200-seat restaurant. That's what you have. But we have to wait till the virus goes away. It wouldn't even do well at 60. Frankly, there's a warmth to it also. There's a warmth.
Beautiful
but not when we
restaurant,
have the
incredible
virus in the
decor.
air. Well, ladies
Crown
and gentlemen,
molding.
thank you very much. So I'm going to let our vice president take over. He's got some really interesting numbers, statistics, and I want to thank the Admiral. I want to thank Tony and Deborah and everybody else. I want to thank everybody that's working, and I really do. I see a lot of tremendous things happen. The therapeutics, the call I had today was one of the most exciting calls I've had in a long time. And again, I want to wish my best to the UK and the family of Boris Johnson, and we just hope he's going to be okay because he's a fine guy. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, guys, and that's it for me. I will not be covering Mike Pence's sycophancy, but I will join you guys again tomorrow. Thanks to everybody who joined me. Have fun with Pence if you will be continuing. I will not.